Nothing here to see, just a kid like me, trying to cuss and see, trying to figure it out. Nothing better to do when I'm stuck on you. I'm here trying to figure it out. Getting hard to sleep, blood is in my dreams. Love is killing me, trying to figure it out. Nothing better to do when I'm stuck on you. I'm still in here trying to figure it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the greatest show on earth, the TSR Speed Shop Podcast, with your host, the often imitated but never duplicated, the Ayatollah of the radio controller, Tim Smith.
I let it go, cause I won't see you later when we're not allowed to talk it out. I said I'd go, put myself on the show, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I broke my shoe, took the bet on you, but you didn't know I planned it out. I said I'd go, yeah, I won't see you later when we're not allowed to figure it out.
TSR Speed Shop RC Podcast. I'm Tim Smith. He's Colin Branch, and we're back for another exciting week. I know we took a week off, but whatever. And you know what? This is an exciting jump in because me and Colin were entering into what I felt like was a great conversation that I didn't want to let you guys out on, or let you in on. I wanted to let you in on. Right. That's it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you cut me off. We were in the middle of talking. We always talk before the show. And
I know. I'm going to see if I can get us back there. That's going to be the hard part. But we were talking about, and I will, because I'll go back to my story. Colin and I were talking about car builds and quality of builds and all that. And I told him, I go, look, I understand. Like, I understand my cars. I purposely try to make them really good. You know what I mean? So I understand, like, not everyone's car is going to look at, like, my car, the car I build. But I get it, you know. But I do race those cars. I mean, Colin's seen them. They're real cars. The guys who race around me see them. They're real cars. I race them.
And they're nice.
But that was the thing. And I was telling him, I go, you know, I remember a few years back, or several years back now, I took a break for a few years and we started having babies and buying houses and all that, you know. And I didn't do RC in general for a few years. If you go all the way back to like, show 1 or 2, I don't even know where it is. I kind of do the My Story where I kind of go back through all this. I should have to listen to that because I'm so old now, I've probably forgotten half of it. But I do remember I took a little break from RC and a couple of years or so, and we moved, we bought a new house and all this. And one day I was out cleaning the garage, and I thought one Saturday when I'm going to clean out this garage because we'd moved, and you know how it is, you get stuck with boxes and crap in there, it just never seems to change. And so I'm like, I'm going to go through these boxes, we're going to decide if we need it or not, we're going to clear this garage out. And about box 2 or 3 into it, I pull down this box that's full of RC drag chassis, dragsters, tires, motors. At the time, the little 200 milliamp or 600 milliamp sub C cells that we ran in dragsters, 14 of them and 20 of them, 20 and 14 cell dragsters on brushed motors and 15 amp micro switches or 30 amp micro switches if you can find them. And so I find all this stuff and I freak out and I'm like, yeah, I got to go race. And then I started racing again. Like, so my little break was over. But something I did say during that time was I thought, you know what? From this point forward, I'm going to build cars, obviously, but this was before even, before Facebook, before probably MySpace. You know what I mean? This was a ways back.
Yeah, before Tom.
Yeah, I wasn't planning like, before Tom. I wasn't planning on, building stuff to take videos and shoot a lot of photos and show off products. And you know what I mean? That wasn't part of my idea, but I remember thinking to myself, you know what, from this point forward, I'm only going to build cars complete. Like before, I'd always like, I'll pull the servo out of this one and I'll pull this off of that. Like the old car became kind of a shell of pieces. And then a lot of it just moved on to the new car. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to build every car complete on its own and only with like absolute best, or at least not really even the best, I guess, but what I feel was exactly what I want. Like there would be nothing like, well, I use this linkage for now. Nope. Everything will be exactly as I want it to be from the start. And I mean, I built better cars because of it, but I mean, you had the same kind of experience yourself. I mean, that's kind of where I cut you off, actually. I kind of got there.
You know, you were talking about all the titanium and all the cool shit you put on these new cars you've built, and I was saying that I built my car and it's pretty much straight out of the box. I don't have any of the cool shit on my car this time. You know, I've built like 3 drag cars in the last, I don't know, 8 months, and haven't really raced any of them very much. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to build this out of the box and see what it works like out of the box. And this thing is amazing. Well, it just goes bullet straight.
I mean, he's talking about the Breakout chassis. Now, is yours? I'm not gonna say. Is yours a Losi version? Is yours the trick new sneaky Losi version? Okay, Lucy. With that said, though, I mean, yeah, my cars have, you know, in some ways, yeah. I mean, I was telling Colin, I go, dude. I mean, just in RC Speed Secrets, in titanium screws that are anodized gold or black, depending on which car you're looking at. The bearing sets. I mean, there's so much money in these cars. I mean, but I don't know. You really can't buy anything else. Like, that's it. My car is like the epitome of this is the most it could possibly cost you. Whether that's good or not, I don't know. Well, but these cars.
I did that on the first couple builds, and I haven't really run them. So I was like, okay, this one I'm building out of the box.
Well, when I built this Breakout the first time, it was out of the box. Everything. Screws, stand, and I didn't even have these cool anodized standoffs. I still had the octagon or hexagon, whatever those things. How many sides they are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Are they 6-sided? I don't know. But anyways, you know, the little hexagon standoffs, the little brass, or not brass, little aluminum looking ones and stuff. Like everything was bone stock. And the car was awesome. I mean, this car has not been anything but awesome since the moment I've gotten it, really. But yeah, everything else to me is almost bling at this point. I mean, you know, the shocks work just as well with those plastic caps and shock, you know, bottoms. But the blue anodized ones are so pretty, you know. So why not go on eBay and order yourself a set of those, Tim, from China? And I have. I like them. Chief's got them on. Chief's got them on his because I the shocks he had them on there, so he's got a set of them too.
Yeah, it's got to have some bling.
Looking all pimpy. Yeah, it's nice. The gold car is beautiful, dude. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah,
it's beautiful. So we're back. Another TSR Speed Shop RC podcast. Let's see. Tonight we have I monikered him the Terror of the West because I have not been to too many races this dude doesn't win, and I'm out here on the West Coast. I remember the first couple year or so ago when he showed up in Rancho a couple times. The Arizona guys came down. He didn't particularly win, I don't think, those. He obviously went some rounds, but other guys from Arizona won. But in recent times, I mean, anytime he comes to San Diego, he owns that street. I mean, he just flat owns that street. I don't care if it's 13.5 or Outlaw. So we got the one and only Mark Vyne, the Terror of the West, on the show tonight. We had a little show change. It just came to my attention. I mean, I like to be honest about stuff like this, and this is just how it was to me. So no one can say they can make up their own story. But it came to my attention that Jeff was going to be on a live stream show going on, like kind of like right now or right before this show, before we started doing it. And I told him, I go, dude, just do that one. It's cool. It's totally cool. Don't take it wrong. It's totally cool. But, you know, you're not a professional interviewer. You're not going to be able to come out of doing a couple hours with these guys, you know, talking and all that, and then come into this one and do another one. I mean, trust me, I do 3 hours of this, you know, once a week, and it's rough. You gotta learn this shit. This is not something you just jump in and do, and it's just not fair to him. It's not fair to you guys, the audience, because I want to find out about that race. I want to talk all about it, and I just want him in the right place to be able to do that. And so I'm like, it's cool. I have no problem. I mean, dude, do that. You already said this is your time. Like, you won that race, so go enjoy it. They want to have you on. You're going to be on before this one. I bow to them. Let them do their thing. It's totally cool. I have no problems at all with it. So please don't take it any other way than that. And gracefully enough, Mark, I just reach out to Mark and say, hey, dude, any chance you're free tonight? I mean, we have enough stuff, Colin and I. No problem. So don't think we were looking like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do, Colin? How are we going to fill time? How's that going to happen? What the hell?
I don't have a problem with that.
No problem. I had to shut us up just to record. So yeah, that's no problem. And Colin and I we don't chat like this. It's kind of funny, dude, because we don't. Colin is the guy in our team. He's in our tiny test group. Doesn't do any testing. He just tells us that when we need to get out and test more. But I'm just giving you a hard time. But
You got to crack the whip sometimes.
he damn right does, and he does a good job of it. So don't get me wrong. It's the most, dude. I'll tell you that. I'm going to say it on the air here. It's the most professionally run, high-end, serious team atmosphere I've ever been a part of, ever. Like in anything. Honestly, you keep and the people you've brought in, like we have the folds get tighter, as certain testing goes on and that kind of thing. There's just less people involved. You just have to have it that way. It's just how it is. Don't take it wrong, people. But those circles get smaller, and he's chosen very wisely because there's a lot of really great support within this tiny group of engineers and owners and all kinds. You know what I mean? It's just a really complex little group. But yeah, I've never been a part of something, dude. You're doing a great job. So anybody who's lucky enough to be on this team, it's the kind of thing where it's almost like a great place to work where you can move up. There are huge opportunities to move into these types of circles, the types of circles where you're dealing with Justin on a daily basis. That's lunacy on its own. But this is quite a team. It's a quality team like that, and I think a lot of people maybe aren't going to be ready for that, but I love it. I like how we operate. I like how we support. It's deep. But it has to be shown on the other side too, and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, there's a certain, protocol that needs to be gone through is when you're testing stuff. And, there's, when something extremely new is being tested, that it's got to be done within a tight circle. And then it gradually works its way out through the rest of the team before it's released to the public.
Yeah.
So, I get messages all the time about, oh, I heard about this or I heard about that, and I would love to test it. And unfortunately, I can't bring everybody in right away at the very beginning. So, there's things like we've had things with software where it'll lock up speed controls, and the speed controls have to come back to us to be unlocked and unbricked basically.
Yeah.
And we don't want to put that on the whole team and cause a great big commotion and all that kind of stuff. So we like to do some of the very initial testing real close and within a certain group of people, because they understand that this kind of thing can happen and it's not a problem. They have spares and all this kind of stuff. So, we work it out to the rest of the team, and that's kind of just how the testing goes. And I feel bad that some people get it and some people don't, but please don't feel like you're being left out, because you will get it before the public does initially, so that we can get more and more time on something that's new before we actually release it to the public.
Well, that's okay. Thank you. That's not where I was planning on that going, but okay. So then I want to say something now, because the whole reason we're talking about that is it's really me. But see, I think okay. Let's go back a long time. Listeners of this show are going to love this part right now. Let's go way back to wrestling days, right? And that there has to be something. When you have a character, there has to be you have to be able to emotionally invest into that character. If you can emotionally invest into them, you like them, you hate them, whatever that is. If you can get that emotional investment in them, it it forms a tighter bond between you as the fan and them as the character or whatever, the talent. And one of the things that I see from that view of it just, building more is I like the transparency of that. I think it presented right. I'm not a dummy. Colin knows this. I'm not going to usually, unless I'm just slip, I'm not usually going to say things. I'm not going to say things that, I have all kinds of insane government clearances. They do trust me to keep my yap shut once in a while. But I like the idea of all of you guys out there that race understanding the amount of effort that's going into our product. I think it's a good thing. Before I came on here, I know that it's a year ago almost now or whatever. It's getting there. There was all this talk that, we need someone involved in this who's a drag racer, someone who knows what we want and, and all this kind of thing. And I was struggling with that with my person, the group I was with at that time, because I was trying to give that information, but it just wasn't really working out that way. And then the Colin thing came along and this did happen. And now we have this group of very serious drag racers from professional car. I mean, but it's not, it doesn't even matter what that dude does. It's just the professionalism of it and the seriousness of it. And something to Colin's point about people, and us testing and all that, it's not, don't take it as an advantage. The only advantage to it is I might understand the controls a little better than you will when you initially get it, because I've had to mess with it for a while. But the thing is, when you test, it's different than going out and running cars to go faster, if that makes sense. Most all of you, I would imagine all of you, even us on occasion, and that's why I want to have two cars, is you go out and you make runs to try to go faster. You make a run, you look at the data, you figure out where can I add. No one looks at where they can remove. No one looks at, well, what if I change this offset way, way, way off from where it should be? Does it still read all the data? Does it do all the things it's supposed to do? People don't think that. But when you're testing, you have to think like that. You have to go through, Colin's seen the spreadsheets that I put together of all the different parameters I'm going to test and how they play with each other and what the outcome, it's very complex. It's work. It really is. My kids understand that on Saturday, I'm going to be going all day at work, because I'm going to go down with Kyle and we're going to make run after run after run, and we have an organized plan of what we plan to do. And we have, up to 6 cars now. We're running back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And it's almost unimaginable. And then sometimes in all that, you find little unicorns of moments where, oh man, all those things worked and that was fast. And you make a little note, and maybe I steal a screen capture of it, on the GNSS or something like that, and post it just to keep content going for everybody. But you just really have to understand, and I think that's probably been the biggest difficulty over my years with team members is finding people that understand what testing is without having to be explained and walked through it all. It's hard. It's not fun, honestly. It is and it's not, but it's hard. It's work, and it's just sometimes you're just going to go slow all day. You're going to do a bunch of short passes all day long with different settings. You're going to go through all the same steps. I try to really focus on my routine of cleaning my tires and I'm getting that routine down really well. I was talking to Mark Vyne this afternoon before we came on, and I told him, I feel like I'm not going to be able to go to Topeka. It happens to be on our 20th wedding anniversary, and so that is not happening in this house. Not my girl. She was like, nope, that ain't going, dude. So it's not going to happen for me. But I told him, we were talking about preparedness, and I told him, I said, I feel very good about my routine right now. It's very, very consistent. I'm doing the same things. I've done them hundreds of times now, and that's only because of the testing, because then I can focus on refining that part of my process. But back to the testing it's just so everyone understands what it is. And I also think, like I said, I think it's cool that I talk to people and make it public. Like, yeah, we're working on stuff, because we're working on really great stuff that I can't wait till it's ready to come out. I really can't. I think everyone's gonna be really excited by it. I am. the things that have worked really good. But and the only downfall we have is we have such a dynamic group of minds, really, really great ones, that we get too caught up in too many things. Like Colin's had to pull the reins on us a few times. Like, dude, we got to stick on this path right now. But yeah, but what if we had to do this and this and this? Like I got
like, hold on. We'll work on that next.
Dude, I got 3 or 4 that I've been biting my lip on. And Kyle even mentioned it the other night in the chat. And I was like, oh no, no, I'm waiting till the right time for that one. I already know how it's going to work and everything. But I'm waiting. I already told Justin about it too, like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, no, I'm holding on to it because I know it's going to get shot down right now. So yeah, man, it is. But from my side, again, I really appreciate it. It's been really awesome. It's been a very professional working environment, and I hope more guys on the team see it that way and take it seriously. And just because you're out, running normal stuff and you're not getting software and all these different weird things to try, there's no reason you can't be reporting in. I'm sure Colin would love to see an email that goes, I made all these passes. These were my settings. This is what the car did. I changed this. It did this. I changed this. It did this. You know what I mean? What surface are you on? If you want me to, honestly, reach out to me or Colin, because I think Colin has it. I have some like test spreadsheets that you just basically, it's all drop downs. You can click all the different little doodads of your run and all that, like, or just get a piece of paper and a pencil and write it down and send it an email. I mean, it's just so easy. But that's what we work so hard because data is hard to get. You have to work hard to get that data. I mean, my normal job, 10 hours a day, it's all about data. It's all about capturing data, getting better at what you're doing. Looking at the data and figuring out where you can get better at it. It's the same kind of thing for Colin with all you guys that are out there. Anybody, even if you're not on the team, for God's sakes, could you imagine if somebody who wasn't on the team started emailing you after every race, telling you how the race went, their settings, what they ran, all the basic breakdown, and that was it? Wouldn't you reach out to them at the end of the year and be like, dude?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that that hasn't happened.
Good. That's good. Some people do get it. I mean, I know some people get it. So, yeah, there's my little sponsor tip, I guess, of the day is, even if you're not sponsored, who cares? Put it in there. Help them out. Even if you never get sponsored, maybe their equipment gets better and then it's because of you and now you go faster. Yay, win. I mean,
right.
We're all in this together.
There's a lot of things that are involved with being sponsored, and everybody that comes on the team, I see something different in each and every one of them. Some are great on social media. Some are winning races. Some are super helpful with other people at the track. And some people are just great at figuring things out and translating data back to me. There's everybody has something they're good at, and it's my job to figure out.
That's right.
Can that be useful for the team? And can we actually help them as well? So it works both ways. I get messages sometimes from people that I've never heard of, never seen of, and I'd like to be on the team. Well, I haven't really seen anything that kind of warrants it. And sometimes that's hard to relay to people, but giving data back through testing and that sort of stuff is really huge. Really, really huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we're trying to do. So if, imagine if there was, instead of 4 of us, if there was, 40 of us, man, we could wrap these things up fast, couldn't we? Whew.
Oh, man. Yeah, it takes a long time. Like you guys didn't go out this weekend and that set us back. I
know it did. And I'm so sorry. It really did.
Things happen. Things happen.
I want to reach out to. There he is, right there. He's popped up on my phone right now. Kyle Christie and Sandy Christie. She was not feeling very well this weekend, and so with COVID, they were concerned and they didn't want to be around everybody. So he pulled the plug on the race. But man, I was itching. Because I built a whole new car and it felt real good, ready to go. Like, oh man, I had a lot of stuff to try. Oh man, we had stuff to test too. We had product to test, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a few new little things that we're continuing to test, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I got to test this weekend. That was fun.
yeah. Want to tell us about it?
Yep. Sure.
Yeah. Let's see.
Sure. The guys at the 865 NPRC group in Knoxville, Tennessee, Foster Yates and all those guys out there had me come out for their King of the Smokies race,
Yes.
which was one of the most fun races I've ever been to. It was so awesome. The hospitality and how friendly everybody was at the race. Everybody was smiling, having a good time.
That's awesome.
Aside from one or two, which that happens at just about any race.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. Because man,
let me talk about the race a little bit
All
more,
right.
because it really wasn't anything. It was
I
some
know,
guy.
but
that was it. That was it.
Oh man, dust up.
The race was super awesome. Foster and his guys and Tommy and everybody, they all put on a fantastic race. It was their first big race, and we showed up on I showed up on Friday. I got there and Foster picked me up at the airport, and we immediately went. We stopped at the hotel so I could get my keys and check in, because I had a feeling it was going to be a late night and I didn't want them to give my room away. But we went to Foster's house, and as soon as we got there, met the family and met up with Jacob Leader and his family, because they were there. And all of a sudden, we've all got these plastic cups with this moonshine in it.
Oh,
And we
nice.
all had to do a shot together.
Nice.
That's the kind
that.
of hospitality.
Yeah, that's my
It
kind
was-
of party right there.
It was fantastic. And Tennessee's kind of famous for their moonshine and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And somehow I ended up bringing home.
I say, was it real corn liquor?
Yeah.
Old Smoky, nice.
Yeah. This one's called White Lightning.
Nice.
And it'll light you up, let me tell you. It's like 100 proof. But yeah, somehow I ended up with that in my bag on the way home, and it actually made it home. So that was kind of cool.
Nice.
But the race itself was amazing. We went and did a test and tune / grudge racing the night before at a different location. And that was fun. There was at least 70 people there
Wow.
beforehand, just in a strip mall parking lot, actually, that they race in pretty regularly. And
Yeah.
the guys at the pizza place right there are kind of into it, and they come out and they're bringing out pizzas and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was great. The hospitality, man, those people are so cool.
The surface
And
looked really good.
it was amazing.
Yeah, man.
Like even the night before at this old parking lot, the surface was great.
Wow.
My car was just going like A to B every time.
Tennessee's a
Just
place to go, I
perfectly
guess.
straight. Oh yeah, and it's
Man.
asphalt. It's not concrete.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
it is super nice. And then so it was it was really late by the time we finished. I think Jacob and I and Foster, we were the last ones to leave, of course. And at that point we were kind of hungry, so there's nothing open. Everything closes early for some reason. And so we ended up at Waffle House, of course.
Yum.
You can relate, right?
Yes, our favorite.
Late night drag racing
Yep.
food, Anyway, the next morning was the actual race. So we
Dude, the last time I was in one was with you and Jared Tebow and Kyle
That's right.
and
That's
Riley.
right. And I told that story while we were sitting in the
Yeah,
Waffle
man.
House this past weekend.
That's hilarious. Sitting across from Tebow eating Waffle House at 1 and 2 in the morning, wherever it was. It was late.
Yeah, it was.
Damn.
It was, yeah. So we showed up at the race spot, which was actually at a community college, had a big parking lot, and they had recently sealed the asphalt. And when I showed up and saw it was sealed, I was like, oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But right from the first run, put the car down, it was perfectly straight. I saw so many cars running fast. That surface was incredible. It really was great. But you had to be on your tire prep game. There was some people running sticky stuff that occasionally, they would run some super fast passes, and then just out of the blue, as the kind of the day was going on, the temperatures changed
Spin
and that
out.
sort of thing, spinning out.
Yep.
Yep.
Same thing I
Yeah.
was doing. I mean, I think I figured it out now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Time will tell, but yeah, I know. I had the same exact thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was running dry tire, basically. I was running like Beetlejuice
So you were consistent.
baked into the tire, so the car was perfect every time.
Yeah.
And I kept turning it up, and the thing just kept handling more and more and more until I got to the third round, and I ended up running my personal best time ever. And unfortunately, I drew Jeff, who won the race.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't feel so bad
Zuccarell?
losing.
Zuccarell? Is that how you say it?
Zuccarell.
Yeah.
I don't feel so
a
bad
cool last
losing to
name.
him, but I know
No,
that
I mean,
could've-
you lost the guy. And didn't you run like a 96 on you?
Yeah, 98, I think.
Yeah,
Something like
1.96 and 1.98, somewhere in there. Yeah, he was cooking.
Yeah.
He
So
was
I don't feel so
cooking.
bad losing to him, but
No.
I know that I could have turned the car up more. Every run it was just a
Yeah.
little bit, a couple percent here, a couple percent there, and it went faster every run.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to throw too much at it all at once in case, it would just blow the tires off or something. So I was working up to it, and I thought I'd put enough into it to, be right there with them, and I treat them. I put it to him on the tree.
Did ya?
And yeah, yeah, he drove around me on the top end.
Well, what did you start out with ET wise? Like when you showed up, I think it's interesting to know, like, where does Colin branch when you're first hit? Like, I know you turn it down. He's a smart guy. Everybody, he knows how to turn it down. So, what was your first hit? Do you have a number?
My first hit was like a 235.
Okay, and then what was your
235.
fastest? What'd you get down to?
214.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
So
right there.
it's small steps, over the course of probably 5 runs.
No,
something
that's
like
pretty
that.
good. That's about right. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say 3 to 5 would be what I would think you could do that in. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
Just small increments and working up to it. And
Well, now you
I
know
was
those
going-
increments, so that helps.
Exactly. I've got that data, and
Yeah.
I'm going to take that to the next one this weekend. So
Yeah. So, what do you think you'll show up there? Like a 220, 230?
yeah,
On your
I'll
first
show
hit?
up at a 230 again.
Yeah, and then bring it down. See
Yeah.
if he goes the same way. If so, you could jump all the way to your third or fourth adjustment.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, it depends on the surface, of course,
Right.
but
Wow.
I won't know that until I think Friday. We start practice on Friday or something like that.
Hmm.
I don't even know what the schedule is this weekend, but it's a 3-day race. So I think we'll get
okay. Wow.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
we'll get lots of track time. I leave Thursday morning at I think my flight's 5:20 a.m.
Oh wait, is that Scotty's race this weekend?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. The straight line
showdown.
straight line showdown.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. I'm not going to make that race, obviously. I should have tried because I'd planned to go to Topeka. That's what I figured would happen. I wasn't paying any attention to the date for some reason. I don't know. I did not think it was in September, but whatever. What can you do? Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's a quick turnaround. I got home Sunday night I think we touched down at about 7 p.m. Sunday night when I got home, and got home by 8, and then now I got to work for 3 days, and
Off
I'm
again.
off again on Thursday morning. So,
Yeah.
and then I don't return until Monday.
Superstar
It's
life.
a 5-day trip, this one. So,
Oof. Superstar life.
yeah.
Yeah, these races,
Well-
3-day races are always 5 days at least, if not 6.
Yeah. I always allow a day for travel on either end. so-
Yeah, I don't want to travel on the same day I'm racing ever. That's a
No, I hate it.
No,
I
no,
hate
no.
that because you never know if the race is going to go late and you're going to have to
right. No.
either leave early or miss
No.
your flight. One of the two.
No, I
So
want to
always
be
book it
done,
for the
go
next day.
back, pack, sleep, shower,
Yeah.
get on the plane. Because anywhere,
Shower. That's a good thing right now to talk about.
Whoa.
It was only about 85 degrees in Knoxville,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you the humidity.
Do we use sprinkler again?
Yeah, it was exactly like the first time I had met you face to face. I was
man.
soaked.
It was
We were
so
all
hot.
soaked. We're all standing there just drenched,
Wow.
but it was so awesome.
That's
It really
probably
was
why their
awesome.
traction went away with a lot of compound, because the humidity went up and down.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we actually had a couple sprinkles of rain throughout the day, and we had to stop and blow the track off. But it wasn't enough to really make the road wet.
No, because it was
Nothing
warm.
got wet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but we did have a few sprinkles. I think twice it sprinkled, and we had to delay a little bit. But even still, we were done by 8 o'clock that night. It wasn't an all-nighter or anything like that.
That's perfect.
And we had 13.5 as well. So
how many actual entries? I know they had a lot of buybacks in and all that, so I know that that number they posted probably wasn't exact. Like, how many people really entered this race? How much? I mean, it was only $3,500 or so.
It was 33 entries in 13.5.
Okay.
Which you're not going to believe some of the times they're running.
I know.
And then 82 in Outlaw.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah. No,
to get it all done in one day by 8 o'clock. Wow. That is
with some rain delays, and they did do a buyback. They did a buyback in the first round.
Whew.
But what they did for the buyback was,
damn,
the losers get set up, and their computer program randomly picks their opponent, and then the winner of each one of those races gets put back into the second round. They don't run through a whole bracket to find one winner.
Okay.
So it went much quicker, and it actually caught me off guard because I was expecting it to go through a whole bracket to get these guys going, and then I was up in like the third race or something
you're like, oh,
in the second round.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, I need a minute. So I showed up with my battery only charged at like 8.3.
Nice.
I got lucky. I still moved on to the third round, but
your car looked good. I saw it. I was watching. I did miss one of them because of that. That's why it was so fast. Yeah, it turned over like all of a sudden you had raced again. I'm like, wait, what happened? How do you race again so fast?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. I
thought you were running 13.5 too for a minute. I was like, dude, that seems like a fast ass 13.5 car. Oh no,
no, it's just my Outlaw car. And the other thing, being able to turn it over that quickly is I'm not running the sticky.
Right, so you were at an advantage
sauce.
there. Yeah, you're ready to go.
I mean, I'm ready to go almost all the time.
Yeah,
because I clean my tires as soon as I come off the track and get them ready to go. So the only thing I was waiting on was the battery to charge, and I actually cut it off early at like 8.3
just to go.
And I got lucky and still won it. So
nice.
Yeah, but that car is freaking amazing.
I know. I love mine too.
So good. It's so good.
It goes straight. It's drivable. It's everything.
Yeah, that thing has not been upside down yet. It doesn't have a mark on it.
I don't think mine have either.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I know the last 2 times I've been out with it, they've been all A to. I mean, a couple of times, no, they've been all A to B passes. So. Yeah, I don't know. I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, realistically, this car, every time I go out, gets at least 10 really solid A to Bs in a row. I mean, that wins races. So,
yeah. I've been on 3 different roads with it, and I haven't touched anything.
No, I built mine
Nothing
basically
on the chassis.
Yeah, out of the box. I mean, I have changed my toe and anti-squat a little bit, but that was just more of just to get the rake of the chassis, right, everything in line the way I wanted it. But no, I built the second car exactly as the first car. Like everything is, I mean, they are identical in every way. So I expected to set it down, and I already have a pretty hot tune-up in it. Like I expect it to go. I don't have any doubt it's gonna. I mean, I'll trim it. You make sure it goes straight. You know what I mean? But I don't have any doubt the car will go. So I may as well just put it where I think it's a safe, fast tune. Let's get it over with. Get to it.
That's right. Yeah. I'm going to start building more tunes into all of our empty profiles.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot recently.
I can just show up, and I know what this one's going to run, and I know what this one's going to run.
Yep.
And so I'll have one just starting, and then one that's a little bit faster, and a little bit faster, and a little bit faster, and then the knockout punch.
Mm-hmm.
So and my car will go quite a bit faster, and I'm still only running the 3.5. I'm not running a 3.0. So that car's got a lot more left in it.
We're never going to get to all these questions. It's going to be awesome.
I know. What time's Mark coming on?
Well, I think 12 minutes ago he was supposed to be on. I think I was supposed to reach out to him.
Maybe we should take a break.
Yeah, God, we've already been going 40 minutes. See, no problem. No problem. Haven't touched one question yet. Not one.
This is never a problem. I got to have some moonshine before he comes on.
That's amazing. All right, yeah, we'll be right back after these words.
Got the need for speed? Go over 70 miles an hour in your MaxAmps.com powered ride, and you could win an exclusive custom t-shirt that cannot be purchased. Club members also receive a free MaxAmps.com swag package. And for you really fast drivers, hit 100 miles an hour in your MaxAmps powered ride, and you could also get a custom Nitro Killer hoodie. These items cannot be purchased. They are reserved for those labeled as truly the fastest. To qualify, email us a link to your YouTube video showing the following: your MaxAmps.com battery in your vehicle, and a GPS or radar to prove your speed. Once we receive the link, we'll send you your club member t-shirt or hoodie for a picture that we'll add to our Speed Hall of Fame. MaxAmps. Power.
with the one and only. I've now coined this phrase, the terror of the West, Mark Vyne. in the house. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure, dude, to have you. I don't even know. When I talked to you the last time you were out here beating everybody in San Diego, I even told him, like, dude, how have we not had you on the show? Like, how's that even happened? Oh, it's because I talk to you. It's the people I talk to all the time. I never think to have them on the show because I talk to them, so I get it all out of my system. Sorry.
The people that are closest to you, you don't think about.
It's true. Look how long it took me to get Kyle on the show, and we had him on for like a minute.
Yeah.
Because I talk to him all the time, so I just don't think that. I don't know. But so welcome.
Mark's a no prep legend.
Mark is a no prep legend. And I kind of told the story of I kind of ran into this Arizona group about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, down in Rancho. A bunch of you guys came down, and I was telling Colin, I go, they came down each time, and it seemed like a different person won each time. And I don't remember if any of them were Mark at that time, but it seems like he can't lose, at least when he comes down to San Diego.
Going to California, I've had very good result. I like going to race in California.
How much money are you taking home, Mark? How much money? What do you think? Here's one. I mean,
that's a great question.
You had to have thought about this. How much money do you think, if you may have thought about this. How much money have you won in no prep? Just in cash payouts. Like, what do you think? Do you know?
The outside world needs to hear this.
I'm just curious, because you've won a lot of little races, that aren't huge money, but there's a bunch of them.
We would go race for maybe $1,500 or $2,000 every weekend. So, man, that's a tough one. If I calculated like. It's I don't know, 15,000, 20,000 maybe.
Oh, it's more than that.
It's maybe a little more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little more.
The tax man does not listen to this. Don't worry.
No, and you should have said 4,900.
Yeah, right. This year, Team Arizona has probably brought home over 30,000 this year. Wow. I would think with Tulsa and the California races. I think the last 6 times I've raced in California, I've won.
Yeah.
I think. So that's probably 12 to 15,000 in California alone.
He's like the juggernaut.
But yeah, it's a good amount of money. It pays for a lot of this R&D that we're doing for sure.
And this is the guy who understands testing. He doesn't even know what we just talked about because he was somewhere else before that part. Man. Yeah, testing's a whole different ball game. It's different than trying to go fast. They're 2 different games.
I think that's what sets the fast people apart is the time testing. The race is the relief. The race is just the result. You test for hours and hours and hours to have 2 seconds of a run. It's pretty crazy.
You win a race with the preparation and the testing ahead of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to me because I have this new car that I'm trying to test and get up to speed, but I have a year of testing on the Silver Bullet, roughly a year, and I know that car so well that I can put it down on a track and run it once or twice, and I know what to adjust. And so I always fall back to that car because it's a comfortable feeling for me. Where this new car is a little bit more on edge and not as comfortable, so I never want to take the risk of losing money. But the car is blistering fast. I just got to get more. I got to test more. I mean, it's part of testing is to get as comfortable with that car as the other car.
Yeah, it's a weird confidence that you have to build.
Yeah.
It's like a character in a video game where there's like a little bar and you got to fill it all the way up, and the only way you fill it is by making runs. That's it. One after another after another.
Is that the rear motor car you're talking about?
Yeah. So at least the Bullet chassis, there's now 3 different types. There's an AE version, there's a TLR version, and the most recent one is out of a Losi 22S, or you can convert it with the 5.0 car. But it's a rear motor, and reason why I went down this path, and it's been quite a long path actually over the last month or two, I put a lot of time into it, is there's a guy, Sean Safford, I believe, if I butchered the name, I'm sorry. But but he ran a rear motor car in Oklahoma and was extremely competitive. I think he had a winning car and just missed the tune a little too hot. He was running a couple hundredths faster at an average than what we were running. Extremely strong.
I'm pretty sure Tim knows all too well who that is.
Yeah, and the guy who took me out, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe it was.
And it was a close race, and that was it. I couldn't catch that guy. He was fast.
Watching that car run, it made me really want to understand rear motor cars better. So the timing was right where the low C 22 car came out, 22S. So we made a chassis for that, and I've been putting a lot more time into that than anything else. And it's kind of funny because I'll put hours and hours and hours into this rear motor car, and it runs good. But then when the race comes around, I'm like, I'm going to run this. I'm going to run the Silver Bullet because I know that one really well. And I recently have not really put a lot of time into the Silver Bullet. It's kind of a benchmark to try and beat. And this rear motor car is getting really close. I mean, it went GNSS yesterday on a road that, Tim, you've raced on that road. The fastest pass I've seen on that road was a 198. At 77, and I GNSS 210 at 75. So
that's right there.
And that's not a race day. That's just blowing off the track, blowing off the road and going. So I think it's getting really close to being able to compete to the highest level in some of these races.
So what do you think this whole? I mean, what do you need to figure out on it? Just more consistency with the car?
Yeah, it acts different. So, I've talked with Daniel Judd and some of the, rear motor kind of experts, as, in my eyes. And if it takes a different power band, it takes, when it goes right or left, it takes a different adjustment to get it to go straight. And even the power band is a ton out of the hole. And then it's smoother laying into it at the end compared to a softer hit in a rear motor car and then laying on huge power at the end. So it's hard to explain unless you feel the two. You run the car back to back, you can feel the differences of both cars.
Right.
And it feels it's a feeling that I'm not used to because I've always run mid motor cars. It's the first rear motor car I've ever tried. Even my first car I've ever drag raced was a mid motor car. So, but it's getting close. It's a solid bar instead of a shocked bar. I can get better 66-foot times with a solid bar. So I'm not quite sure why it does some of the things it does yet. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's a hard puzzle, but man, I know with the way that it launches, there's a really fast car in there somewhere. I just got to figure the tune out.
Wow. So that was a question that Jeremy Joseph Olson and OKO had. So we can check that one off the list.
Oh, what time? What did it run?
No, about the rear motor.
Yeah, people have asked me, like, if I was going to build a car today, what would I build? And today, I'm faster with the Silver Bullet. It's probably an average of a half a tenth faster. But 2 months from now, I'm not sure if that's going to be the same answer because I'm gaining ground with that rear motor car really, really quick. It's no longer 2 or 3 tenths slower. It's like a half a tenth. And it's running some of the same mile an hour now. I've GNSS pretty fast times with the Silver Bullet, but it's all in the road. It's how much you can put down. And when I'm paddling the tire at the end of the track, that's all that road's going to hold. That road won't hold more than about 77 miles an hour. And I'm right there with that car now. So yeah, it'll be a cool next 6 months or so. I'm sure I'm going to put it in a few events and see if I can win some money with it. It's about ready.
Which one are you taking to Tulsa?
I was just going to say, so you're running the Silver Bull in Tulsa, huh?
Well, so I hear that the road is, it's an average road. And that's a whole nother story, right? Where
who knows?
Oh boy,
who knows?
Boy, what a mess.
Yeah, I think 99% of the roads that we race on are probably like the Kansas road, right? The Topeka road. And there's this 1% road that will stick all sorts of power and people post up crazy times. And I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole down a path you don't want to go, but
we'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You look at what GNSS times are out there, and there's some crazy times. And so I'll post up, I did 76 or 77 on GNSS, and in the GNSS world, that's slow now. That's nothing.
Right.
But you go to these big races, and a 2.0 at 72 to 75 is
killing.
The large race. Even the race that just happened, and the practice session that happened for Wisconsin, these super fast guys were there. I know one particular, and there wasn't any 1.7s out of it, right? I mean, it's and the frustrating thing for me is I think it deters people from entering races, large races, because they're not running a 1.7 or 1.8.
Yep.
And I know now I don't post a lot of times, because I even posted a 66-foot time that I thought was pretty good for a standard road on my rear motor car. It went like 147 or 8 or something. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty solid. That's faster than my Silver Bullet car. And I kind of got bashed on that, like, oh, that thing is not that fast. And I'm thinking that thing probably will win the majority of the races out there at that time. It's diluted what's a realistic time, I think. And the only time I put my foot in my mouth was Rockwell, where I saw an 80-mile-an-hour run, and I'm like, holy mackerel, man, if that's real, that's really fast. So let's go see if that's real. And that dude put down a rock and multiple just crazy fast passes. So, there are some really fast cars out there. But that area, my car also went almost 78 miles an hour on a power level that I normally go about 73 or 74.
Right. Well, you're over 5,000 feet up.
Yeah. We were wondering about that.
Yeah, and I think one of your podcasts, you guys talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was putting down faster mile an hour than I normally would for that power level.
Okay.
And I've said this before on videos that I've made, is it's not the impressive thing for me about that was one of the most impressive performances that I've seen, because it's not the mile an hour that's impressive. It's the difference from my car to his car. Normally, I will big end everybody. I mean, that was like my comfort, is I could launch soft, and I'm coming around you on the top end, and I made good power. But watching the difference in mile an hour of that car compared to mine, he had me by 3 or 4 miles an hour every time, every practice, every qualify, every time. So that made me revisit. I put a lot of time into making more power. I never really thought I needed to make the more power until that event, and it changed the way I'm testing now, where I've been running the same power for 6 or 8 months and not worried about anybody having more power until now. So
didn't we just talk about this? Didn't we just talk about this? Didn't we just talk about this? Didn't Chief bring this up? Talk about Mark Vyne's gonna be home, figuring out like, oh man, he was riding, he just riding that wave, enjoying it. Hell yeah, you should. You're winning everything. But guess what, dude? Tom Rockwell's in the picture all of a sudden.
Here, did it?
Yeah. Holy
cow. The tide has turned for sure, and people are making very good power. But I think, I've had a lot of people ask me questions about, the 2.0 motor compared to the 3.0, and why do I run a 2.0? And I just wrote, I can't remember what site I wrote it on. I think it was actually on this Mamba X site that I've been messing with, but and you're an electronics guy. Both of you guys are very heavy in electronics. And I think that the 2.0 motor, there's potential there that is beyond what the 3.0 can do. I think the fact that you have to run 80 or 100 degrees timing to make massive power in a 3.0, there's a more efficient way to do it with a 2.0. And I think we found it. I mean, there's so many variables, and Maclan makes you guys make your own motors, and Phantom is putting a lot of effort into new motors and different geometry inside the motor to make more power. And I think we're right on the horizon of some really cool parts that are coming out to push these cars to probably 80, 85 miles an hour, realistically 80 to 85 miles an hour, as long as the traction's there. I mean, it's, I think in 6 months, if you can't push a car to 80, I don't think you'll be able to win one of these races. I think that what you need right now is about 75, and I think in 6 months we'll push over 80 pretty consistent.
I can't disagree.
75 would have won in Knoxville because Jeff was 74, I think.
Yeah. And I feel like I just ran. There was this. These guys were in from the East Coast, and we ran an event on Friday night, and then we went out Sunday to our normal Coys Road, which normally drifts like crazy, right? It's like a really good road.
Yeah.
That was like the hub or the original race that we started, right, with Coy. Or that's the first race I attended was at Coy's events, and they slurry coated the road. And so I put my car down, and it's like an ice rink. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. But we get a couple runs in, and we got this, new rim that we're trying to make more traction with. But by the end of the day, I got a 195 at like 75 miles an hour on that crap road. And I think the average was like a 220 when I look at the data that came out of that. So it's possible to get down a really bad road. So now I'm kind of in a position where I don't know if I want to run down a really supreme road because I don't know if I'm making the same kind of power that some of these guys are making.
Interesting.
Now.
Was that the rear motor car you ran?
No, that was a Silver Bullet
Okay.
that ran that.
All right.
And I think we have some cool ideas, and even Big Chief talked to me a little bit about his big car wheel and what they're doing. And so we tried this aluminum wheel that worked extremely well on low bite surfaces. So I think it works really well on high bite surfaces too. It's kind of an undefeated rim right now. But yeah, the power people are making now, I think there's going to be new traction and new horsepower coming over the next 6 months. It'll be really interesting to see how this whole thing grows, because it's freaking growing like crazy.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You mentioned the aluminum wheels because Yeti B asked, what are you finding with the aluminum rims opposed to the plastic?
So the aluminum wheel was my brother's idea. And for people that don't know me, I've done all sorts of racing, and my brother's always been there. He's my older brother, and I've done like drag, real car drag racing, and my brother was building the motors. And so a lot of these RC car ideas, the chassis, the air pressure, those are my brother kind of standing behind the scenes, but those are his ideas that he has an idea, and we make it together, and I kind of bring it to life and see if it works. So his idea of air pressure, we tried 6 months ago with a Panther, and it worked great for 66 feet, and then the car was completely uncontrollable. So when
no belts.
Yeah, they were a pizza cutter, right? But 66-foot prep racing, the thing was an absolute missile, right? It was untouchable. So the progression of this wheel is the Voodoo came out. My brother saw that tire and said, we have to try this with air pressure, right? This is the optimum situation for air pressure. And, now it's obviously working really good. But then he's like, we got to try an aluminum wheel, and I want to flip the big sidewall in. So when the camber gain moves the wheel, it's going to ride on the big sidewall instead of the small sidewall. And he felt that there's more traction. So I used to add weight to the wheels when I first started drag racing because there was no traction. You were taping the inside of the tire, and sauce didn't exist. And to get traction, I would glue lead weights on the inside of the wheel. So I'd get these really heavy wheels, and it would transfer engine energy into traction, I guess, for a simple way to put it, right? Where you try to accelerate or rotate weight, it takes weight off the front, pushes it on the back. And so I'm familiar with weight in the wheel, but I thought these wheels would be too heavy. He made them, and they're pretty heavy. And the other advantages are they carry about 3 times the air volume inside the wheel. and that's thanks to Justin to Big Chief, where he runs a V-type wheel that has a lot of air volume inside.
Yep.
We've talked to him about that too.
We've had the same conversation.
So we made this wheel that is extremely strong. Obviously, it's aluminum. It has a lot of air volume in it. It's actually the diameter of the small sidewall instead of having the wheel be the diameter of the large sidewall. So you can run very little air pressure in them. The valve doesn't hit, and they're 2 inches wide, so they're even wider than the Proline. So we stretched the Voodoo tire over a large air volume with some weight in the wheel, and so far they work extremely well. So we're going to do a couple other versions of them, different weights to get some weight out of them, and some different geometry to see if we can put more or less air volume so we can get anything else. But there's something to that. I never thought there would be anything to the wheel of the tire, but after running that car at Coys Road, and even my teammates, who usually we're right on each other, Brian, I think Mansky went at 209 once. But other than Brian, I don't even think anybody hit 70 miles an hour, and nobody was even a 210. I mean, I was extremely far ahead of the class with an aluminum wheel, which I've never even seen an aluminum wheel be competitive before. Normally it's
we're all thinking about weight.
Yeah, right. But they're heavy. They're over 100 grams a piece, just the wheel.
Oh my!
Wow.
They're heavy. I mean, I'm adding like 140 grams to the car by the wheel.
Wow.
But I even ran them on the rear motor car last night, and that's what went GNSS 75 miles an hour on a good road. So they're not slowing it down at all. I thought they wouldn't work as good as they do, but that's my brother's mind at work for sure, because he was pretty convinced it would work.
Well, you're going to break the internet with this once this comes out tomorrow. It's over.
Too much info, but
it's over. Yeah. This week is going to be very exciting to watch the internet.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, you're going to get banned. What are you doing?
It's funny with the way that this whole thing evolves. Like I got a story that's it's good, because like when I first started doing this, you have your rivals, and I was pushing the rules and trying all this crazy stuff, and because the rules were not defined so well, I tried a belt drive car, and I tried all this crazy stuff to try to get an edge, and it was all about winning, man. I had to win. I had to go figure this out and go faster and faster. And the batteries, parallel the battery, like Tim, we've talked about this before, parallel the batteries together. And I had these rivals, and without the rivals, I don't think I would be as motivated to figure stuff out. And there's this pivotal moment for me that was this Vegas race. And I went to this Vegas race, and I got lucky, and I won this Vegas race with what was to be the Bullet car, but it didn't exist yet. It was the chassis that was all drilled out, called Swiss.
Yeah, with the drilled out body.
Yeah. Thing was super light, 1,400 milliamp battery in the thing, right? And I had a great run in the final, and this was a no prep event, right? So they're doing the glass test, and me and one other guy got questioned on prep, and mine smelled funny, and me being the cocky guy at the time, like I didn't realize, smelling funny was in the rules, or and I've heard other people talk about pushing the rules, and then another guy had a sticky tire, right, and so the rule was it needed to roll across this Lexan piece and not stick. And the rule wasn't you couldn't put anything on the tire. And this is the reason why I kind of like the prep side of it now. All this negotiation, or not really deception is not the right word, but there's like this gray area on no prep stuff that's hard to police, right? And so
interpretation of the rules.
Yeah, and at the time, and my attitude is I'm going to push this rule right to the limit, and if it has to roll across that and not leave a mark, I'm going to put stuff on my tires, but it's not going to leave a mark on that because that's the rule. If you tell me it has to be a dry tire, then I'll, whatever you tell me is the rule. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to be right on the edge of that rule to give me the best shot at winning. And out of that came controversy of that win. And
to say the least.
Yeah. And I was so pissed that I'm like, I was going to be banned from a race or whatever. And the positive side of this was I was so upset and driven that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build a team and I'm going to make 5 of these things. And if you don't want me raced, I'm going to go put 5 of these things out there and you're going to race 5 of them instead of just 1. Right. And I was all mad. And that wasn't the right attitude to have, but it created the first sale of the Bullet. And I don't think I ever would have sold the car without that drive from my rival people, right? And I should thank them because the competitive nature is why some of these things happen and some of these rules were made to define where we're at now. And it's kind of a cool history of, at least for me, of how things evolved into, selling a chassis and building more of them. And then the next evolution was when I started selling these is helping people. And the response that I got from helping people instead of just trying to win races was incredible. It's hard to explain. And I know you guys have reached out and helped a lot of people also, but the response that I got, I sold 20 chassis and then I helped those people build them. And then they went out and won races and other people saw it. And then they come in and want chassis and then you sell 100 of them. Then you sell 200. And this pool of people that you help exponentially gets bigger. And the response you get back is hard to describe and it's overwhelming. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what,
I can totally relate because I haven't really raced since King of the Streets. This past weekend I went to Knoxville was basically the first time I've raced since King of the Streets. And I miss the actual racing, but the helping people and that side of it it's so rewarding that I didn't really miss it that much. I've been super busy with work, both jobs and this kind of thing. But, it just like you said, it's so motivating to help other people and to see them go faster. And then the response when they go faster and that kind of thing. And that's kind of where I am with my, drag racing career, which is non-existent, but I actually got to race last weekend, so that was fun.
Nice. But, I've never experienced this like this before in my life of being able to reach so many people or have people respect what I've built, right? Like as a chassis. And man, it's 3 pieces. It's a piece of carbon and it's a piece of aluminum and a shock tower. Like it's very simple, but it's the time involved with people and the setup and something so simple can make such a big difference. It's crazy. It's hard to describe, and I know I'm probably going off on a tangent, but
that's what we do on the TSR Speed Show.
I do appreciate everybody's.
It is, and it's just the appreciation when you see that come back. I mean, I've been really fortunate to get that from like the show and different things like that, where people will reach out and be like, I've learned a lot from just your show, like that kind of thing, and it just feels good that you feel like you're contributing. To me, I love this sport. I love the hobby. I've loved drag racing forever. I've always done it. So to me, it's just it's lifting up that thing I love so much. So I feel like yay! I've accomplished more than I ever hoped to in this hobby. I've loved it so much, and it's given me so many great memories and so much joy, and so much odd success with toy cars. But you look at it and it's just you want to give something, like I want to give something back. Then I don't want to leave this and just be that's the end of it. And we were talking, me and Colin were talking with Chief right before the last show, and I told him that. I go, that's kind of my thing. That's been my thing for a few years. I told Colin that. I go, look, I'm 53 years old. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've won a shit ton of races. I've set Guinness World Records. I've done all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I'd love to win some more races. Who wouldn't? They're fun. It's so fun to win. It's just the best thing ever. But I get such joy out of whatever this version that I've become now, where we have this show and we talk about all the things. We bring people like you on and talk about it, and you hear the passion and the excitement and all that. And it's just giving so much back. And Colin gave me one text from his trip to Tennessee, and he literally wrote that hundreds of people came up to him. I think he's exaggerating. At that race and told him how much they really enjoyed the show. Like they just really, and it's weird too, because we do this and you just do it and you just send it out there and it goes off into the world. And I don't know if anyone listens to it or not. Some people say they do, but then you hear that kind of thing and it's just, you realize that whatever you're doing in the hobby, you're doing the right thing now. If you weren't before, you are now. So
I remember the first time you mentioned my name on this show. Like I was jumping up and down like a kid. Like I made it, man. I was like, on cloud nine.
What was I saying? Was I talking about you winning a race again?
No, it was, I think you called me like Mr. 216 or something. I went some time on a prep track, and it was when Todd Saltero first moved to Arizona and saw me run.
Yeah. And
you'd mentioned the time that I turned, and I'm like, that's me. Yeah, it's your show definitely. I've heard other people like, hey, they mentioned my name on his show. It's like, I go to the race the next time after hearing you talk about something about my car or something, and I feel like invincible next time I go to the race.
Oh my gosh, dude! Well, you're gonna win everything now because you've been on the show. Like, that's it. So, Tom Rockwell's in trouble. Hey, so
we need to stop talking about Mark.
I saw you lock in for $100 with Tom.
Yeah,
Tom Rockwell.
Yeah, he's a special dude, man. He, racing him, being around a lot of different types of racing, you get a lot of competitive personalities, and sometimes they can clash.
Yeah.
And I was extremely impressed with him where, he came up, introduced himself. He gave me it's a durometer, right, to measure. He's like, I got a present for you, man. And he comes up and gives me this durometer to measure the air pressure in my tire. And like, man, that is a freaking good idea, and I'm like, I'll have to get one of those. And he's like, oh, keep that one. That one's for you. Right. And just this really cool, nice guy and super freaking smart, and there's not an arrogance to him. He's just a genuine dude.
Well, yeah, because he knew he was going to stomp everybody's ass.
Dude,
I'd feel like that too. I'd be handing you whatever you wanted. Like, yeah, because dude, I'm about to stomp your ass all over this track. So here's my durometer. Have fun.
Yeah. But the race was one of the more impressive races I've seen, because he normally as a team, we've figured out we're stronger as a team, and you might beat one of us, but it's real difficult to beat all of us, right? And that's part of our success. But that dude went through all of us every time. Like, there wasn't one race we beat that guy. And it's the first time it's happened since we formed this Team Arizona. And even afterwards, he's a very humble, just a super. I'm excited to race him again. I want a win so that we can go away from this. And I know there's going to be a tiebreaker, right? So I'm doing everything I can to have a win out of this, where the guy just doesn't slaughter me again, and we'll have another cool race after that, because I want to keep racing that guy.
Oh, no. So you guys are locked in, so you're going to have to get some kind of grudge race down for that $100. It's not going to be if we happen to meet up.
Yeah, no, we'll figure something out. I think in Colorado, it was kind of the same thing where we were supposed to race, but there was such limited time to try and figure the track out that we lined up a few times in practice, but we never really. I was running my rear motor car trying to figure it out the majority of the time, so we never got a good chance to race. But then we did race in the event twice. He beat me both times with both cars, my brother's car and my car. So, that race for me was a game changer, where I had to go back, and I'm putting a lot of time into power.
A little wake-up call.
So, yeah, definitely.
So You just mentioned something that kind of struck something with me. Was your brother in Colorado with you?
No, he was not.
Okay. So I just thought of something. You can enter 2 cars. They have to be different cars. Nobody says they have to be different cars that aren't being run by somebody else during the race. So you could swap cars and have a second entry.
You couldn't, if the car was entered under a person, you couldn't race that car under somebody else.
Okay.
Because we tried that. We were
of course you did.
Well, there's a car that broke. And we wanted to take the fastest car of the team and have that guy run it. And it didn't work like that. So we fixed that car. But yeah, if that's the case, then the whole team would run one car and it would be the fastest car, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they would want that.
Yeah, it would just slowly work its way up to the end.
Yeah, right.
Through everybody.
Right.
Wow.
I see amendments being made to everyone's rule sets right now.
Dude.
I do like the double elimination stuff. That make it, you travel a long way and you get 2 shots at it. I think that was a good race. That was they had a really funny announcer. Like I can't remember the guy's name.
Is his name Sid?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds right. But he
Yeah.
would fill the time, and it was like entertaining to listen to him. He was good.
Oh,
The whole
yeah.
event was real good.
Nice.
Besides losing, it was a good event.
Yeah, I know that. I know those events.
Man, so we got a bunch of questions.
Yeah, hammer him with a few.
Cool. Yeah.
Bunch of questions for you, Mark. And I don't know if you want to answer this one, but there's a couple people that have asked about it. Stephen A. Nicholson Jr. and John Masterbury are asking about your testing with the Castle speed control. Stephen says, how's this testing come along with the Castle ESC versus the Tekin? And then John asks, how do you like the Castle over what all you have ran before? For example, the RX-8, RS Pro, RSX, and R1 Works.
Okay, so the story on this one is I ran across this NPRC site that was a Mamba X NPRC, and it was a small site. It's maybe 120, 150 people, and there's some people turning some pretty good to over 70 mile an hour times. So the reason for the test was Phantom is putting a good effort into making more power, and the things that I'm testing pull a lot of current. So I was trying to get a solution if I go beyond what the RX-8 can handle with current. So Castle's known for making huge power and speed cars. They're a little rough, but bulletproof. So jumping on their site, the people gave me all sorts of information, and I'm like, I got to try this. So I found one at a local hobby shop, bought it, put it in, and this little Facebook site has given me a ton of data on this ESC. So I figured the software out. I went out and tried it, and the first run on it was last night, and it's a censored ESC that you can. So my thought was, well, 30 degrees, and dual mode and Tekin, what's 50 degrees like on a 2.0? And there's really not a speed control that can handle it, right? So this has the capability of turning 45 degrees in its cheat mode, in its censored mode. And I ran it last night, and it has a cog to it off the line. And Todd Saltero talked to me about it because he used to run a lot of Castle stuff and gave me some ideas on how to fix the cog. But the unfortunate thing is I think I had 45 degrees total in it. And even on the top end, it didn't seem to pull as hard as the Tekin with less timing. So it's not an end result or a fair comparison because I got a year of testing to figure the Tekin out, and I got 1 day on the Castle.
Yeah.
It didn't blow up. I tried a lot of timing and a little bit of timing, and I could tell the difference. It made more power, but it's not launching good because of this cog, and I need to be able to figure that out. If I can't get the cog out of it, then it's not a good solution. But if I can, with a cap or the way that Todd was saying that you shouldn't roll it backwards.
Can't get rid
it'll
of the
lose
cog.
its position.
No. It doesn't know its position. It doesn't know its position.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of the cog. It's impossible.
There's some. Well, it is, but it is censored.
It's a
So I
censored
don't know.
motor?
Yeah, it's my 2.0 Phantom.
And you're running it censored with a cable?
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually a Mamba X8. It's a Mamba X8S, so it's a 5th scale speed control. The thing's huge.
Can you
Holy
adjust
cow.
the motor frequency on it?
You can't.
Yeah, if you can adjust that, because there's a good chance that's what's pulling you off so far.
Yeah, I got to do a little bit more research on it. But it held timing on a 2.0, a really hot 2.0. So if I can get it smooth, I think it could be a good application, because you could time the 2.0 and it's going to live.
Yeah.
But I need more time on it. It was a good end result for a first day of testing. It didn't blow up, right? And it went down the track, and I think I got close to 70 mile an hour out of it, even with the cog. So it's working good. It's just, it needs, really, I think, to be viable in the next 6 months, it's got to push 80, or it's not going to be a good combination.
Right. Wow.
But I think the good thing is, Tekin has always been really good. I've really, out of all the testing I've ever done with Tekin, I've only broke one of them. It was in California, and it was brand new speed control. So out of all the punishment I put into the Tekin speed controls, I've only burned out one. And I think these new motors coming from Phantom, they'll push the limit of what the Tekin RX-8 can do, but I'm pretty sure it'll handle it, because the efficiency is higher too. Not only we're going for horsepower, but we're trying to make it more efficient.
I like it.
Yeah, we'll see. Good things coming. It's interesting that all the motors that are out there right now are a roar type design.
Yeah.
And there's no roar limitation on these motors. So I think there's a lot of companies that are going to come out with some different designs to make a lot of power. And rotor size is kind of the first thing you're seeing, but there's
way more than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in that motor that you can make a lot of power with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've been playing with stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of a dark magic, or there's nobody really knows how to make a massive amount of power at 8.4 volts. It's never really been researched to this extent. There hasn't been this much money on the line to make the horsepower, right? You get these races for $20,000-$30,000, and we're putting roar designed motors in these cars with no rule that says it has to be a roar designed motor.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's cool that companies are putting effort and dollars and time into making some new products that'll push us to the next level.
Right. Yeah. Brand names aside, and alliances aside, and sponsorships aside, this kind of thing, it is so cool to see so much effort by so many companies being put into something that is outside of what they've been doing for decades. And it's our no prep world, and it's so huge, and it's amazing to see from so many different companies making stuff specifically for the no prep scene, and I absolutely love it. I don't care. Of course I've got my loyalties to Maclan, and but it's awesome to see stuff coming from all over the place from other manufacturers and stuff, and I love it. I can't wait to see where this is going.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pushing the whole hobby or the whole sport forward. It's a sport now. There's too much damn money on the line. You can't call that a hobby anymore.
Yeah, you think about, just my little bubble on the companies that I deal with. There's a company that is trying to develop a tire that I'm involved with, and then TLR. I'm a TLR diehard, right? I know they're involved. I love, when I off-road race, I did TLR, and when I was racing with Kinwalt, right? Kinwalt was a TLR sponsored guy, so all my off-road cars, behind me are TLR. And then Frank Root and a few others have brought me in to help design some of their drag racing, their new drag racing stuff, right? So you got TLR working on stuff. You have another company I'm dealing with to try to compete with, Voodoo Tires, which is going to be real difficult to do. But there's other, there's you got those two. You got battery companies. Like there's, one of the tests I was doing this weekend was batteries, and There's a new Phantom battery out that's coming out. That's a 3P battery that's super fast. And then there's other batteries that are even, might even be bigger than that on the horizon, right? So there's so much R&D going into so many different areas. I got 3 different motor companies that, they're like, let's compare motor horsepower and see what makes the most power and all these crazy designs. And this is just my little bubble. I can imagine what, if you look at the big picture of everything, what is actually going on out there in no prep, there is massive time and money being put into trying to win these races. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. And I talk to other industry people daily, competitors and people who we're not competing with, who are making tires and this and that and everything else. And it's the same thing. We're all kind of working towards the same goal, and we all want to see this succeed and be bigger than anything else. And it's a lot of fun. And it's fun talking to the other industry insiders as well, because while we're not sharing secrets so much, but just hearing everyone's side of it is really, really entertaining and informative. And it is just so cool to be a part of this whole no prep thing.
Yeah, I think one of the questions I get a lot too is you see these people post what chassis is better, or what motor is better, or which one is the best, and it's an interesting question because there's so many different combinations that work so good, and I truly think there might be 24 or 3 dozen different combinations that'll win a race, and it's the guy that tunes it.
Yep.
It's all about the tune. There's really no product that is a major advantage. You can take any one of the big 4 companies for power and win a race, and it's the tune. I don't know how to. I think that's one of the most common questions is, what's better, this or that? I'm always asked what's better. And it comes down to the tune 99% of the time. As long as you have a total amount of horsepower and a total amount of traction, it's all up to the person tuning it. Rockwell could give me his car and we swap cars, and he'd probably beat me with my car, right? I mean, he was a better tuner that day is why that car went the way it did.
Exactly. Yep. There's so many factors involved with every single run that you're running down the track that there's I won't say anybody could win it any day, but there's the person who puts in the most work is going to be the winner that day.
It's like the perfect class.
And that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of the reasons why, I've had conversations with Team Arizona members, and they're like, man, there was the conversation a while back. I think it was when I shared the radio stuff, and they're like, man, you're sharing a lot of stuff, and we want to go win. And that's a natural thing, right? That's an obvious, even my brother was like, you're sharing way too much. and
I say the same thing to Tim all the time.
All the time.
but I keep, my response is it's about the tune, and you can give somebody all the tools to be able to go fast. But if they don't put the time in to tune and understand how to tune, they won't win. And it doesn't matter. I could hand somebody my car and my radio and all of my equipment, and it doesn't mean they're going to go win a race, and right. I might be able to take somebody else's car and win it just because of the time invested in learning how to tune a car. I think that's the biggest. There's no fast way to learn that. It's an education that you get by running on different roads, with different horsepower, different tires, and you got to go through it and understand it. And it has to be done to win a race.
That's right. Yeah, I get asked all the time for, what's the hot setup in the ESC? Well, this is the setup that we had that was the fastest at this race on this straight at this time with this person and these tires. It's impossible to hand somebody the winning setup.
No, and that's one of the reasons why I've been asked to build cars for people, and I don't like doing that because the tune is so dynamic, and if you just hand somebody a car with no knowledge of it, they're going to be disappointed that it's not going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to build it, they have to learn it, you have to go spend the time to do it, So
yeah, and every single run it's a little different. You're changing something every run.
I'm constantly changing. Last night, I never ran the car the same way. You constantly evolve the tune with what the road can handle.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yep.
And the cool thing is, there's no other RC sport like this where I can hand the radio to another person and limited experience, and they can be as fast as like Mayfield, right? Or some of these main guys. Like, there is no other RC realm that I would ever compete with a guy like Mayfield. Not even close. Not even close.
Yep.
But in drag racing, Brian Mansky won the largest RC race I think that's ever been, and he was only in it, for 4 months. He just he had the right car and the right backing for tuning, and he's a freaking smart guy. So yeah, there's no other RC thing that I can see that has that appeal to it where anybody can do it. It's not, you don't have to have this massive hand-eye coordination or unobtainium skill like a Mayfield or a Spencer Ripken or something. You just put the time into it to understand tuning, and you have the right equipment, the right companies backing you, and anybody can be fast doing this. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a little story about the race in Knoxville last weekend. You probably know what I'm talking about. So there was a grudge race at the end of after the races. So Billy Shaw from Desert Hobbies and Jacob Leader had a grudge match. Billy Shaw has never driven a car down the track before, ever. And Bisquick, Cody, handed him his car for this grudge match. And I'm going to officially say right here on the podcast that Billy Shaw is now officially faster than I am. He went 209 straight into a curb.
Ooh.
Yeah, the car is done. He forgot to hit the brakes at the end. He was celebrating so hard that forgot all about the shutdown area. But he won the race at 209. And he was handed the car right before the race. Didn't do any of the prep on it or anything. But that just shows that, the tuning of the car is a skill in itself, and it's the biggest skill when it comes to this drag racing stuff. And yes, you got to learn to tune your cars and set them up and do the consistent burnout, get the car ready to go every time. And you got to cut a good light and all that kind of stuff. But this is a tuner's game. And that's kind of where that story went. And you got to, unless you have somebody that like Cody that's setting up your car for you and just handing it to you, then, all you got to do is pull the trigger.
Yeah, right.
But it's something where the tinkerer and the intelligent person who's able to set these cars up and understand the surface and all that kind of stuff, they can do extremely well. They don't need dozens of years of practice on an off-road track or whatever to be competitive.
Yeah. It's and there's no other thing. It's crazy that there's no other thing like it. I handed my same situation. My brother had never driven a drag car, and he's making all this stuff for us that, my brother drove a drag car for the first time pretty much at King of the Streets, right? I mean, he raced like 2 times before that. And I handed him a radio of a car that I built for him, and I think it went 198 and never driven one before, right? Wow. And I remember saying to him, it took me like 2 years to get to that speed.
Yeah.
I've never been that fast.
Yeah. And he pulls the trigger 5 minutes later, and he's got 5 minutes into it of trying to drive it.
Too.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's I think that's a factor of what's bringing in a lot of people into the no prep thing is they go to an off-road race and they see how good these guys are, and
you can never achieve that. Yeah,
there's no way you can compete with most of those guys. But you come to a no prep race, if you can set up a car and you're consistent and you understand this kind of stuff, you don't need 20 years of driving, ability to win a race and get down the track.
Yeah.
What are the questions we got, Colin? I know you
Another
got a
question.
Bunch. Yeah.
Okay. So Rick Shaper, who's from up here in the Northwest, asks, what does Mark Vyne think about an unknown name in NPRC, Ray Myers, taking out all the Arizona guys in Utah on his way to the win in a dry tire race? And Ray Myers is from up here in the Northwest as well.
Yeah, so I just saw that the team members that went down there last night, we had a conversation about the race, and so I'll give you some history. I'll tell a quick story on it'll segue into this. So 6 months ago, I'd say maybe 9 months ago, actually ironically same road as what we ran last night, me and Frank Greer raced our cars, and I believe he beat me by 1/100th of a second, and he went 62 miles an hour and I went 72 miles an hour. And I remember this like it was yesterday, because I remember looking at him. I looked at the slip and I'm like, you realize how fast we could be if we teamed up? And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that, right? And the guy knows traction like no other. And he had a few buddies that he raced with, and I have a few buddies that I raced with. So everybody got together and we formed Team Arizona. And I don't think anybody that I know of, at least locally, can top what Frank Greer can do with traction. So when he wanted to go up to this no prep race, I thought they would have a really good shot at it. I think he showed me a tire that was like, you could make it screech with your thumb. Like, it's so grippy.
Wow.
It's so massaged, right? So he brings that tire, and the team goes up there, and they truly ran a fully dry tire. And I think the rules were a no web. So taking nothing away from the guys that won, I've watched some of the videos of the run, and they really had their shit together at that race. But I think the team didn't push the rule to the edge to pass tech and get the most traction. They were legitimately dry tire. Mm-hmm. And what you can do, I learned at like the one of the first Oklahoma races was, there's ways to get a little bit more traction out of the tire and still not glob on a bunch of prep, right? But kind of do a happy medium with, wiping it a little bit, or, there's some techniques to get a little more traction out of the tire that they didn't take advantage of. I don't know if it would have made a difference or not, but if I would have been there, being a little more familiar with no prep races, I think we could have pushed the rule a little bit more and got a little bit more traction. I just think they were being very cautious about having a dry tire. So that could have been a contributor, but in watching the guys that were in the top, they were really, really fast contenders. I think even with pushing the rule a little bit on the no prep stuff, I'm not sure what the result would have changed. They did really good. We got some more.
Yeah, I thought I saw times though out of there. I mean, the dry tire thing, that's different. I had no idea that was a quote unquote dry tire race. But anyways, with that, I thought for sure that some of the times were like 210s or 220s. Like I didn't think anyone was really running 9s, and they're on concrete.
No, and I think that and listening at the times that Team Arizona ran, they were, I think, a 203 to a 206 were some of the best times.
Okay.
So they were right in there with some of some of the winning times, I think, were in the 2.0 range. So they were competitive. And I know Frank, I've been pushing this rear motor car, and Frank put a lot of time into trying to get the rear motor car down the track. And he didn't have the bolt-on side wings on it, which helped for aero, and there was a huge headwind. So rear motor car with an open underneath and a headwind is a bad combination.
Yeah.
I think one of his, I could be mistaken, but I think one of his eliminations was with that car blowing over. So that's never good. I think if I was there and saw that kind of wind, that's kind of what the Silver Bullet with the side air dams is made for. That would have been a good fit for that, I think.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you run
and
those
I ran
little?
the Silver Bullets.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I ran the Silver Bullet at IKEA, like a huge side wind, and there's actually people waiting for the wind to die down before they ran because there was this crosswind that was brutal. And I ripped that thing to like 77 miles an hour on a radar gun straight, and that was the first really good test of seeing how those little side wings worked. And my car's never flown off the ground, even with massive side wind or headwind. That would have been, I wish I would have went there, because I think that kind of wind could have been an advantage.
What's your car weigh?
Definitely.
Where's your Silver Bullet weigh ready to go? Like when you're at San Diego?
It's pretty heavy. It's about, I think it's about 2,300 right around in there, depending on the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going through tech this last weekend, and my car was passing tech without the body on it.
Yeah, mine is too. Yeah, no problem.
I've been there.
Yeah.
And the weight is an interesting subject because, I mentioned my brother earlier, but he's got some kind of crazy ideas, but the majority of his ideas work out really friggin' good. And he's got an idea that we haven't proven this yet, but it'll be interesting to see if this happens, is as power increases, he thinks the traction available is more of an exponential increase with weight. So that the heavier car, if you can push it, will actually generate more power or more traction than the lighter car. And I've noticed that in the burnout, where you take, I have a minimum weight car, and you do a burnout, and you can barely feel the car pull. And then you take this big sled, like my brother's car is the heaviest out of all of them. His is like 2550 or something, right? And you take this, and his weight extra is battery. So he's got a huge battery, so it makes more power, so it can push the weight. But you do a burnout in his car, and the thing wants to rip the wheelie bar off because it's got so much traction because there's so much weight on the back wheel. I think it's pushing almost 1,000 grams per tire on the back wheel. Like, it's just really heavy. And his car always goes straight and fast. It's not the fastest, but it's definitely the most controllable and easy to drive. Yeah. So if we had more power, what is a 27 or 2,800 gram car, with an extra horsepower in it? What would that do? And my theory is it would be faster, but I just don't think the power levels are there yet to test it.
It's easier to get that power, that level there, though, than it is to figure out how to make that light of a car work. Yeah, the car gets... You got to have a great road. I add more weight because the car gets really twitchy at minimum weight. Brian Mansky runs pretty close to minimum weight. So does Tyler Miller runs right at minimum, and he beat me last time we raced and won the event. And he was right at minimum. I just can't get my car as consistent running right at minimum. I like an extra couple hundred grams. Right. I agree.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument right there. Is it may be faster at the the ultimate best it can run, but it's no prep. And when do we ever run at the ultimate best surface?
I've even noticed that my brother's car goes down any track. Being really heavy, it's not as sensitive on the track condition. So, we try to make the easiest car to drive for my brother when he go to these big events, because he doesn't go at all the races and he's machining chassis and making parts, and he doesn't get the wheel time that the rest of us do. Although he flies helicopters, and he's definitely hand-eye coordination is very good. But
So returning back to the starting line after a run is not a problem for him.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's definitely a talented wheel. He just doesn't have the experience. But we made the car specifically heavy to kind of make it easier on him, and then learned a lot from it because it is so stable. You know, at Colorado, I brought his car with me kind of as a backup if the rear motor car felt squirrely, and it did. So I put his car down, and first one went 77 miles an hour, like out of the gate. No tune, nothing, just hit the trigger and go.
Wow.
Like, man, that car, it's super stable. I mean, it didn't run quite the ET of my car, but it went down real good.
Wow.
This is some good information that people need to jot down for sure.
Now with these wheels too, I'm adding another 140 grams of rotating weight to the car.
Yikes.
And that rotating weight is a complex weight because it's rotating. It creates a force that wants to lift the front and push the back down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some good happening there with that, where it's generating a lot of traction and a lot of stability. You get outside low weight on the wheel. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how the weight is a big factor. That's one of the reasons of the chassis being the way it is where it's kind of a blank slate where we can move weight around anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's how can I say this? Any chassis can win any day. I mean, we've heard that a million times. If there is an advantage to the Bullet, it's I can move weight anywhere in the car pretty easily. And I think that would be the only thing I could think of as an advantage. A non-flexible car works. A flexible car works. It's all about the tune and the time you put into the car. But it is really easy to move weight anywhere on the Bullet. And it's crazy how much weight makes a difference. Where, you know, we were just testing last night and Taylor's car hauled, right? But it hit the wheelie bar a little bit hard. Like, man, we could just add 50 grams in the front of that thing. It's there, right? It's ripping, you know, and it's just 50 grams. It's like nothing, but when you watch videos of the car launching, it makes a difference. Even just a little bit of weight makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
It does. Yeah, and that's we see that with the 5-star cars. We've got the little weight boxes on there. We can add little tiny weights or a lot of weight. Doesn't matter. And fully adjustable in that respect, and that there's a reason for that.
You guys even have a wheelie bar weight box.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks to
That's
you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
for that one.
Rear weight. Trying to explain and wrap your brain around what that rear weight does.
Just leverage.
It's strange because I think, you know, if we're on the subject of weight, there's a certain amount of weight that needs to be on the front of the car to keep the front end down.
Yep.
And to measure that weight, you have to measure that weight with the wheelie bar off. Because once the wheelie bar hits the ground, any weight of the wheelie bar is negated. So I can have a car that's
write this down, kids.
Yeah. So I can have a car that's 80-20 car, right? Like that's super heavy on the back because I got 200 grams sitting on the back of the wheelie bar, which pulls 200 grams off the front of the car, and then it puts 400 grams on the rear tires, right? It's like a seesaw.
Mm-hmm.
But when that weight hits the ground, now that 200 grams that's on the back is no longer in play, and it puts it back on the front of the car, so it holds the front down. But now it's dead weight that you're dragging, right? So it screws you with your mind trying to figure out what weight bias you need, because there's almost two different weight biases you're dealing with. You're dealing with static weight, where when you launch, how much weight's on that tire to grip, and then once it moves and that weight hits the ground, how much weight do you need on the front to hold the front end down?
Right.
But you can kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get this crisp launch because you got so much weight sitting on the back tire with all that leverage hanging off the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that weight hits, now it's not pulling the weight from the front anymore, and the front will stay down. So finding that out or testing with that, you know, I'm running my Silver Bullet car rarely even pulls wheels off the ground in slow motion. The wheels are usually on the ground even at the launch. And it's a large portion of that is due to that weight movement. You know, it's not physically moving, but it's neutralizing weight when the wheelie bar hits the ground. And then you have enough weight already on the front to hold the front down once it's rolling. It's kind of a cool concept. It's a different way to tune. and it seems to work really good with a shock absorber bar. I haven't messed with it a lot on a solid bar, but the shock absorber bar lets that weight hit the ground, but still lets the front end move once that weight hits the ground. So it's a cool way to tune that we've kind of been.
I mean, when I saw your car in San Diego, you were teching it for the finals, and I was standing there next to you. We were talking, and I was looking at it, and I looked down and I saw those big brass standoffs on your wheelie bar. And I didn't say anything at the time, and I turned to my wife and I go, "Smart motherfucker." And she's like, "What?" I go, he's creating leverage. He's creating leverage on the backside of this tire. And then I hadn't even gotten as far as realizing that once the wheelie bar touched it, was actually releasing that load now. And then you just had to counterbalance it, no problem. But I got it. I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's a fun thing to explore. And then when... I guess when I was in Oklahoma, probably, I don't know if it was after that at some point, when I saw the Breakout car the first time and they showed it, the weight box and all that, I'm like, could you make me one for the wheelie bar that I could just put little weights in whenever I felt like it? Because that could be a fun game. And the first thing I did, dude, when I got that thing is I went out and first I put it on the scales and I measured every combination there is. I made a whole spreadsheet of every combination of weights, front to rear, and then made hits on every combination front to rear of weight. And I'm just like, there's a zone, and you find the zone, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't really improve going anywhere outside of that zone. But once I am in that zone, the car goes hard. Mine just lifts the front end just a little bit, maybe a quarter inch or a little more than that. The tires kind of roll off for the first 15 or 20, and then they seem to come back down. But it's all about that, like you said, just that counterbalanced weight and that leverage. It's amazing.
When you put a lot of weight on the back of that wheelie bar, if I run more than about 50 grams on the back, I can run anywhere from like 50 to 200 grams on the back of that. And when you watch the car leave in slow motion, it looks like it has anti-squat in the suspension, because when that bar hits the ground, now it doesn't have that extra 200 grams on the spring.
Yeah.
So the spring releases and the whole car kind of raises a little bit. And in the video, it almost looks like it's pushing the tire into the ground, but really it's just relieving the weight from the wheelie bar.
Right.
But there's a lot of good things happening with that weight. And when I saw the Breakout chassis, the weight box in the back, I'm like, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
That is good.
That was all you. I stole it right off of you, dude. Right off of you.
Cool. Yeah.
I saw it. It dawned on me. Like, it just hit me. I was like, oh my, what the, how have we not thought about that? That's the easiest. We got a big thing hanging off the back of our car. Why aren't we putting a bunch of weight back there?
Yeah. And if you look at some of the earlier videos, like I think like the Southwest Nationals and stuff, I have big. There was one picture where I actually had brass weights bolted on the side, but we just started messing with that, and we're like, painting the brass black and trying to get the advantage and not having anybody see it, right? And then there was a couple times where I'm holding the car and the paint's flaking off, and they're like, hey, look at that, what's going on there, right? So we kind of let the cat out of the bag with the weight on the back, but that was a cool evolution to the way that we tune.
There you go. Cool. That's another thing you've given to the RC world. So thank you.
And what's funny is that the full size no prep guys move weight around too. They move weight to like all the way back as far as they can get it, or they move it forward depending on the surface they're running on. So it again, another thing that translates to the full size cars.
I saw a wreck of a car on Street Outlaws. I think it was a picture, an aftermath. I don't think they played it on the video, but it had 45-pound plates, like weight plates in the back. It had mounts where you could put plates. Yeah. The body was all beat up and gone, so you could see the inner structure of the car, and you could see these 45-pound plates. He had like 3 of them on each side in the back behind the rear tire. I'm like, hey, and the beater bomb guy did the weight hanging way off the back of the car, and they were going to outlaw it because he did a wheelie and I think the weight hit the ground or something, and it was a no bar class or something. Yeah, weight is one of the.
That's not a wheelie bar; it's a weight.
Yeah, right. And it's one of the main things I'll change if I go to a track and there's really high traction. then I'll pull a lot of weight off the wheelie bar. And if there's really low traction, that's a tool that I use to try and get grip, because you add another, 200 grams or 100 grams on the back of that bar. 200 grams on the tire is an immense amount of weight. Yep. So it changes the traction that's available. That's one of the first things I look at is how much traction can I make at the track. And if it's a lot, I'll pull weight off the bar. And if it's not a lot, because when I pull weight off the bar, it wants to hold the front down a little bit more, right? It's not as critical on the front lifting. But when there's no traction, I will pile a ton of weight on that wheelie bar, enough to where I got to change the spring tension of my car, right, to accommodate for it. And it makes a big difference.
There is so much to this.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, every time I go out and test, I find out something a little different, or, my tune's a little different, or, I'm kind of known for I'll never bring the same car out twice to an event. I always have something different going on. Yeah.
And then the most common asked question is, how do I get more power? How do I get more power?
It's not that.
You don't need more power, guys.
No, the majority of the time, even, you can ask the Team AZ guys this, and they'll say the same thing is, we'll put a ton of power in the car and it'll go a certain time and they're trying to get more and we're trying to get more and we start adding power, and the guy that backs the power off is usually the fastest guy.
Yeah.
I'm learning though, man, I had a realization recently that I've been blowing through the slipper in my tunes for like ever. And I'm so pissed at myself for not running a slipper eliminator, because we've been dealing with all sorts of power and all this time testing and adding power, and it doesn't go faster. And we finally realized, I think it's the freaking slipper.
Tim, this is the first time we've ever been ahead of Mark on any of these.
I know.
I can't believe it boggles my mind. I did not look at that.
I ditched mine in Tulsa.
Yeah, get rid of those damn slippers.
I got rid of it in Tulsa, and I thought, well, this is the place, right? And so I got that car from Todd, and he didn't have one on there. I'm like, perfect. This is the track we're going to do it on. I'm going to make the change now. And man, I mean, it didn't seem any different. It just seemed like the car went, like I didn't miss it one bit.
There's that cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, my tune changed. So this is funny. I saw residue of slipper pad on my gear. So let me see what's going on here. So I take the slipper apart and I put reaction time sauce on the pads and put the slipper back together.
What?
Yeah.
Glued her up good.
Here we go.
I didn't have the eliminator, right? Since then I've ordered, a bunch of eliminator stuff and Kimbrough gears and stuff. But this is just like within the last week or so, like week and a half. And I put reaction time sauce on the pads and I put the slipper back together. And instead of a spring, I just used ball stud spacers and then just cranked the nut down as hard as I can crank it down, right? And I put another nut on the top of it just to make sure.
Just to be mean.
And I go out there with the exact same tune and the thing that my car that normally goes straight as an arrow, it's super fast, blows the tires off in 5 feet.
Yeah.
Like, God, I had to change the tune like a lot. Just because
you can turn it way down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, is it still slipping? So then I marked the pad and the metal, right, with just a line. And I run it on a mellow tune. I come back and they're not lined up anymore. Even after all that, right, and trying to just lock it down, it's still moving. So
you can't lock it. You can't truly lock a slipper down just by tightening the nut.
Dude,
not even with reaction time sauce.
You're in for some fun, man. You're in for some real fun.
Here comes 85.
Holy cow!
I think there's more. I think it's been, we were worried about trying to find some more power, but I think we might have had the power all along. And the harder I push, we've been really frustrated because I'll run the same time at 72 or 73% EPA as another team member running 85% EPA. And we can't figure out why there's no difference. We thought, well, is it battery sag or is it tire spin, right? And it's things you can't measure. It's hard to see. And
nope, it's slipper.
Slipper, yeah. The slipper hits a barrier, and no matter what you throw at it, it ain't going to go any faster. That's it.
Wow.
It just hits this wall. So as we're locking the slippers up, we're finding we had a lot more available power than we originally thought.
Yep.
And there's a lot of time, wasted in thinking, trying to solve that puzzle when it was right in front of us.
It's always easy things, right?
Yeah, man.
All right, Colin, cherry pick him one last good one because we have held him for a long time.
All right, one last question. This is actually a really good one that I've been thinking about myself. Tommy Burgess asks, do you feel that premier style promoted events should run on fast ass surfaces, or it is what it is? The Tulsa race has drawn a lot of attention over this.
That's a good question, and I think the better the surface becomes, the more that the products that you run come into play. And an example is, if you run a surface that somebody can run 80 plus miles an hour on, you're going to have a handful of people that can perform that.
Not only the products, is how to tune those products.
Sure, but it becomes more product based on raw horsepower when you start getting, you put a Voodoo tire on it and you put, massive horsepower, whatever your combination is, and there's a handful of people that know how to make that horsepower.
Right.
And you're going to have 6 to 10 competitive people, possibly, right, on an ideal condition. And if you run on a normal road, that's an asphalt road, that's a 2.0 run, I think you'll have a better race because you're going to have 50 people that can get down that road at about the same rate. And I think that's a better event. It gives people more of a chance to win than just the elite that have maybe prototype parts or
more money.
Or I mean, I truly think a better race is a race that anybody can win, and the road accommodates all sorts of different configurations, right? And like people complained about King of the Streets, but I thought it was kind of a cool race because it was, the guy that won it was a 220, and it's not, you don't have to have this elite equipment. Not to say that he had great stuff, right? I mean,
sure.
He had a really good combination, but it gives everybody a chance to win it. I think that's the way the big races should be.
I think that was the whole concept of doing no prep to begin with, like right from the full scale stuff, was to try to take the huge money, big horsepower guys and make it more level for more people.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where our RC no prep needs to remain. It's great to see the occasional race on a high traction surface and let the elite guys, duke it out and throw down some big numbers. But for the most part, I think it's better to have a race where, it's so many people. The tuner is the guy that can get down the track and can win the race.
Mm-hmm.
That's, in my opinion, the fastest guy in the nation. Everybody's after this. Who's the fastest, right? And I think I've texted this one, or I've messaged, on one of these posts, but I truly think it's the guy that can get down any road better than the next guy. It's not
right.
That, in my opinion, is the most valuable or the fastest guy.
Yeah.
And, it is cool. I know Big Chief mentioned, I want to see an 85, there's these horizons that you're going to cross, and 85's next. And
that's great to see, for sure.
Yeah. There's a cool appeal to see what these cars are actually capable of, and I love it, right? I'm struggling to try and keep on the edge of what people are doing and see how fast we can go.
Finally, you're struggling. To find that. That's right.
We might have a few tricks up our sleeve here pretty soon.
I don't doubt
people that are really moving out,
Yeah.
And that's, they're definitely one of my main drives is to try to stay on that leading edge of technology and figure out new stuff. But I think it's cool to come to these races. And in my position, I think I might have an advantage over the majority if it's a really high traction race. And I would actually like to go on a lower traction surface and make it a great race for everybody. I think it's a healthier situation.
Well, you've gone to a bunch of races, in California and such with arguably lower traction than what we would consider high traction, and you've done very well. So, that's huge to be able to adapt from where you're used to running to go to a lower traction surface and takes home so many wins.
What do you?
That.
Hey, I have a question for you. What do you normally run on Poway out here? Do you ever run GNSS there? Like, what do you run on that street?
On
the one where you win all the time on Brook Printer.
San Diego.
San Diego?
Yeah.
I've never run a GSS. I've never run a timer on it.
Oh, no?
But, just based on how much power I can put down, it's not fast. It's not a one. It's not a one anything. It's a two something.
Yeah. I was just curious.
That road can't hold a lot of power. But we did find out that I used Frank Greer actually found this out, where he brought a set of blue Voodoos out, and I never had much traction on that road until Frank gave me those blue Voodoos, and holy mackerel, those things work amazing on that specific road. They're kind of unique to certain roads. It doesn't seem like they work everywhere, but with that tire, I might be able to put down a 2.0 something. I think it's in the 2.0 range.
That's a harder compound, is it not?
Yeah.
So
that's
interesting.
There's a big push to try and get the golds and the reds and the silvers, but the last time I was out there, when me and Tim talked, I was running blues all night.
Wow. So I have one question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
My own personal question. So do you feel like having timing systems at these races is a good thing or a bad thing? Should we have just a flashlight, an instant green, no timing? Is these timing systems hurting what we're doing, or is it actually helping?
Man, that's a good one, because it makes for two different races in a lot of different ways. You go to and the latest, so the latest system too is you get a time, but you get texted your time, so nobody else knows.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
but
so
do you also get texted your opponent's time?
No.
Okay.
So you're going down the same road that I'm thinking is when you do a San Diego race, I have no idea what everybody else is running. So I don't know if I'm competitive or not with what my car is running. And that's a whole different race than the Rockwell race where, I just went 196 and he went 195 and I'm close, but I need a little bit more, right? So there's appeal to both types of racing, but I think the more raw, true to no prep race is the no timed light race. And I kind of like that better because it's an unknown on how fast everybody is.
Yep.
So that
I agree 100%.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep. That's where I stand too. I'd like to see the timing systems go away. They're great for determining who won without question, but it also lets you know what your competitors are doing and kind of takes that part of it out of the game.
Yeah. You have no idea what you're lining up next to with the light, and you can track who you're racing and what kind of times they run on the timer. And it takes some of the guesswork or I don't know. There's an unknown it's just a different race. I like the light better. And I feel instant green, I think I have a better time. I don't want to drive 1,000 miles and then a red light.
Right.
Right? I mean, and it happens all the time. And the instant green eliminates that unless you guess. If you guess, then you're asking to go home.
Right.
So...
it is funny. I saw a couple of people do less than a 0.1 on an instant green this weekend. I was like, because I was sitting right at the starting line, right beside the timing, the guy's running the race. I was like, oh, that was a great guess.
Nah.
Yeah, but there,
You know?
there's something to that also. People running the race. If it is an instant green, I had asked. There was a guy that guessed a light in the semifinals and got it, like perfect light. We watched frame by frame. I thought he jumped, and then I felt like a jerk for saying he jumped. but super nice guy, right? And we watched it back, and it was the perfect light. And I talked to Kyle. It brought up a scenario that I never thought about before. But if you're doing an instant green, you should pause a little bit before you hit that green. If you go, okay, watch the light, boom, and you hit it, then the guess is easier because the time frame is less. But if you go watch the lights and you wait 5 seconds, you're not guessing that. Right?
Nope.
So
that's how it was this weekend. There was no guessing it. Like, if you guessed it and actually got it, you got extremely lucky. Because it was not the same.
You give a 5 or 6 second pause, and you guess that, you should go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is a good, I never really thought about that before, but, I think Kyle is the guy that's putting on all those events, right, in San Diego. And he, super friggin' nice guy, puts on an amazing event. Like, he runs a great race. And his time was shorter than what I was used to. And I'm like, hey, and I don't know if he ever thought about it either, but there was a few people trying to guess the lights because of that time being short.
Mm-hmm.
And you lengthen that time up, and that eliminates that whole issue that you're not guessing anymore.
It's true.
It needs to be random for sure.
Yeah.
Can't be the same.
No.
Yeah. And I did want to say before we jump off of here, this is probably the biggest venue that I've been on, or going to reach the most amount of people. And I have a massive amount of respect for the show. And I just wanted to thank the people that allow me to do this. Like, my brother is this silent guy that doesn't attend a lot of races, but without my brother, I don't think the air pressure, there's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened without, the chassis wouldn't have been made, and all these ideas that we have on the way we tune, and the air pressure, and the wheelie bar, and there's this guy behind this that's not me, and I get a lot of credit for this, and it's Team Arizona testing, and my brother helping me with this, and I wouldn't trade for anything. And I got this girlfriend, Sarah, that allows me to spend as much time doing this as my job, and to kind of ride this wave of RC drag racing. So there's a lot of people behind making this happen for me, and to be able to thank them in a venue like this is awesome. Like, I appreciate you letting me come on here and be visible to so many people that you guys reach out to.
What is your brother's name? I don't know if everybody knows it, because I'm going to shake his hand before I shake yours the next time I see the both of you together.
Absolutely. So my brother's name is Bobby Vyne. And he's people that know me and grew up with me, like Brian Mansky is. I've known Brian since I've been 17 years old. He's he's the guy that won
Tulsa,
Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
And anything me and my brother have done together, he's kind of been behind me, supporting me. And most of the time, he's the brains, and I'm the guy out there freaking trying it, right? And he was like that in when I was in my 20s. I used to do a lot of street drag racing, like smaller version of what Big Chief's doing, but it was pretty popular out here. My brother built the motor and the whole drivetrain in my car, and then we went to race track racing stuff with Heavy Street, and my brother was making the motors for that. And we went motorcycle racing and all this type of stuff. He's always kind of been there behind the scenes and given me a lot of ideas. And I get all these crazy ideas, and I talk to him daily, and he's kind of the guy that keeps me going straight and keeping the ideas realistic, and where we spend our time. A lot of it has to do with his decisions on what we want to try. And it's made a really good drag car, and it's made a really good team. And I don't know, there's just, you look at how things end up, and I think I would have gone down a lot of wrong paths, trying a lot of strange stuff. And I definitely would not be, the bullet chassis wouldn't be what it is, and I wouldn't be nearly as competitive without the support of the people behind me, with my girlfriend and my brother and the team. And, you know, I don't think people see that a lot, but it takes more than just me to go win a race, right? Yeah. It's Phantom, and it's all these manufacturers behind the car, and then it's all this testing time, and it's this big freaking machine of all these people and all this time and effort to make one of these cars win a big event or to win any event, right? Mm-hmm. And I've never been a part of something quite like this, and it's really freaking cool. So on a venue that a lot of people can hear, I want to say thank you to everybody that supports what I do.
Wow, well, thank you, Mike.
I don't think any of us have been a part of anything like this before.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This whole thing's pretty crazy.
Just trying to hold on through the whole thing. That's all. Just trying to hold on.
Yeah, you're telling me, man. I'm having a hard time holding on right now.
She's a slippery one, right. This one here. Well, I was going to ask you who you want to thank, but I think we wrapped all that up. No problem. So
I didn't mean to get all sappy, but
no,
no.
It's gold, dude.
It's people need to know who we are and who, you know, the elite people really are, and you fit that category perfectly, and you're leading the way. You've won so many races, and your chassis are winning so many races, and the way you help people win so many races speaks a lot for you yourself. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. That means a ton, more than you know. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hey, Mark, before you go, why don't you tell everybody, in case they don't know who Mark Vyne is, one, where they can get a hold of you, which is Facebook. Two, where can they get a badass chassis just like you?
Okay, so I started a site. I just checked. I think it's been less than a year. I started the Bullet Experience on Facebook. So I normally will post the links to the parts that we sell on the Bullet Experience. And the way that we sell the chassis are through eBay. The account is my brother's account. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. If you search...
You're terrible at this. What are you doing?
Your brother really is the brain behind this, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll give you the search. So if you search...
he's doing it right now because he's got to go look at it.
If you search TLR Bullet or Associated Bullet or Losi Bullet, you'll see the chassis come up when they're available.
There you go.
And the easiest way to get them is to wait for the link on the Bullet Experience. And we're completely sold out right now. They go pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think the main problem we're having is materials. Like I would love to build 300 or 400 more of those things right now, but
I know the
next one's what's that?
I know the feeling.
Yeah. But they seem to sell out pretty quick. And if you there's also ways to, when you search that and you see my brother's account, I think people have figured out a way now to monitor the activity of his account. So when something new comes up, it gives him like an
alert. Yeah.
So we're trying to fix the availability where we have surplus of them, and we had it for a little while, but now we've sold back out again. And kind of a cool statistic is I think we're approaching or surpass 700 chassis out there now. I think that's about,
wow.
I think that's close to the right number. It's absolutely incredible how big this has got. Like, we were happy when we sold 20, right? When we first started.
I think we sold that many speed controls too, Colin.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine how many speed controls you guys have sold, because you're
not as many as we want to.
I think you have the most user-friendly speed control out there. Like, there's a lot of people that can go really fast, really quick, right, in a short amount of time because of the software you guys have written. So
that's the hope.
That's off to you guys.
Thank you very much. That's that means a lot. It's been a long road, but we're all we're all grinding, you know.
Yeah.
we all want that piece of the pie.
Sure. And that pie is growing extraordinarily big. Like you can't even get any parts. It's crazy how
anything drag related is super hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you guys feel? I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
All right, Tim, this one's for you.
What do you guys feel on the Voodoo tire situation?
What do you mean? Do I think it's fair or whatever? I mean, is that what you're into?
Like,
I don't really care. It's all the guy can afford to make, and that's how he does his business. This is RC. For years in the 90s, guys would show up and open their trunks, and that's where all the cool parts were, and you bought them right out of the trunk. So, I mean, it's just been, that's how drag racing's always been, for me at least, in my experience, is you've always had to search for stuff or make your own or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, it'd be nice if someone would come along and hand the guy a big, fat, sweaty wad of cash and have him make, 10,000 tires, and then let's see where we go, and then take that profit, like get enough going. I know that's a deal with the guy. I've known the guy for a long time. He's just a guy who works.
I don't think there's any shady business going on. I think he's
just
doing
a dude
the best
that works.
he can.
He's like all three of us right here. He works a job all day long, and then has his tire thing gig going along. I mean, when I dealt with him years ago in scaling, he was hard to get scale tires, and he wasn't selling near as many of those. I promise.
Yeah. I've personally met Matt. We went out and he had a car for me, and we did a rock crawling session, which was really cool. I've never done it. He's a super freaking nice guy.
Yeah.
And, nothing but amazingly supportive of me in drag racing. And it's unfortunate. I've never seen a situation that you can win without his tire, but it's so dominant. It's a crazy good tire. I knew it when I ran it for the first time. I remember posting, like, get ready for the next generation belted tire, because this thing is crazy, right? And it's kind of changed the game in a way. Reaction was dominant.
Yeah.
And having something that, and Todd posted, I think it was Big Chief and Todd that were talking back and forth, and Todd's like, I'm not going to pay $100 for a tire, right? And so I'm like, okay, so you have
I know this conversation all too well.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot more conversation outside of that one, trust me. Holy shit.
I never thought about this as in depth as after I saw that text string, and to have a product that it isn't mandatory that you will not win without it, but it's pretty close, right?
Yep.
So then what is the value of that tire, and is it a positive or negative to drag racing?
For me, it's $100 a set. That's how much it's worth.
and it's not that much money in the big scheme of things of what we spend to try and figure this out.
Nope.
No, it's nothing. It's really nothing. And
I got more than that in screws.
Yeah, we went through the same thing. We went through the same thing with the DRK. We were making them as fast as we could, but even still, every shipment sells out before it even gets here, and has nothing to do with us trying to control how much is being sold, or supplying it to special people only, or this kind of thing that I've heard people say about the Voodoo tires. It has nothing to do with that. It's supply and demand, and the factories can only make things so fast, and I don't know what his financial situation is, where if he could order more at a time or not, but I don't think that there's any funny business being played. He's just doing the best he can.
No, and I don't think that's the case either. I think he's producing as many of them as he can, and if it's personally spending time with the guy, I spent a pretty good amount of time rock crawling and just talking with the guy, and he's been extremely generous and nice to me. And then you see people that are just super mad at him for that situation, and
he can't win.
No, I feel bad for him, because he's got this amazing tire. He can't produce enough of them for the demand. If he was people don't give him enough credit, I think, because if he was a real jerk, he would sell them for $150, $200 a wheel rim.
Exactly, right?
They would still sell out, right?
Sure.
I mean, he's not after to try and squeeze every last dollar out of it. He just can't produce them fast enough. But I've never seen this type of situation where it's such a dominant part that's needed to win races that people go nuts over them.
Oh yeah, we get people mad at us all the time. When are speed controls going to be available?
Yeah.
Well, they're available all the time. It's just small batches because that's as fast as we can get them.
Yeah.
You know, we're not holding them back for special people. It's
No.
You know,
I have
that's
one.
just nature of the industry right now.
Did you say you had one?
Yeah, I have one. Here it is right here. This is it. This is Tim's backup stash right there. That's it.
So
that
that
one.
means you got two.
Yeah.
Or you got three.
Yeah,
You got
three. One in each car, and then
got
that one. And now it's the one that I sent in. Had you go through it and send it back. It's not even new.
I've only got two, and I actually the original DRK that all the testing was done on, we auctioned off at what was it, King of the Smokies last weekend.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was the original prototype DRK test mule that we auctioned off for a good cause, and that was really awesome. Luke from Luke's Hobbies paid a lot of money for it, which is going to sit on his shelf, and it's kind of cool, kind of a cool piece of history. So
Yeah, that's cool.
that was awesome.
Do you think you guys are you gonna stay with the tents? I don't want to get too far into the Maclan, the questions of Maclan, but do you think you guys will stay with the 10 scale format?
No.
I'm guessing no.
Of course not, Mark. That's silly. Who would do that? We already talked about earlier. I don't know if we were recording or not. We were talking about earlier. No, we weren't recording. Of course not. Bigger is better. You know that.
Don't ask me for a timeline because I don't know.
Yeah, big boards.
I'm guessing 2022 sometime.
Yeah, no
so
shit.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, that's out of our control, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I deal with people trying to make stuff, and that lag time, like to make something by the time it's actually in production is 6 to 8 months minimum, right? It's that takes a long time, but
it's dumb.
We haven't even. Everything is selling out. You can't keep products in stock, and the whole thing is growing fast. So that's
exactly.
That's a good thing.
We haven't even physically had one in our hands yet to test, so we're a ways out. Put it that way.
Yep. All right, let's wrap this up. It's well past my bedtime. What the hell's wrong with
it's
you?
time.
Past 8 o'clock.
I know. What the hell's wrong with all you two?
It's time for tacos, and then I have to go to work. So.
All right. Well, then let's take a quick break. Before we go, though, thank you, Mark Vyne. So appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime. I do not have to ask, do I? Right? You just tell me when you're ready. Which
I will be back. For
could
sure.
be in a couple weeks. Who knows? Just come on back.
Yeah, right. So I got real quick question.
Dude, here you go.
No, real quick.
Here you go. He had like 4 sips of that moonshine. Now look, I can't turn him off.
You can't shut me up.
He's on.
Scotty's race, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, are you going?
This weekend coming. Going, yes or no?
I don't think I can make it.
No.
I don't think it's
Yes, I stand a chance.
Nice. Not with your 220 car, mister.
And I have a deep respect for Scotty. I've watched a massive amount of the world championships and the events that he's put on. He puts on an amazing event. And the fact that he's involved with drag racing now it already has. I mean, it's putting this to the next level, the highest level of racing. And I really wanted to support that race.
Yep.
So much so, I mean, I got the time off of work. We had plans to try and do it. And anytime I go to a race, when I set foot at that race, I want to know that I've done everything I can to prepare for that race, and I feel confident. And it's kind of a mental preparation, and I have to put time into my cars to make sure I have that mental satisfaction that I'm as fast as I can be for this race. And my original plan was to go to Kansas and run that race and be as fast as I can. And I have while I've been out running around the U.S. racing, I think a lot of people have made gains on getting faster and faster with testing. And I need to step back and test and get faster to try and compete with some of these new guys and girls running extremely fast. So I think if I attended that race, I wouldn't be fully prepared for Kansas, and I don't think I would perform well in either one. So I want to make sure that I'm 110% ready for Kansas. And to do that, I got to unfortunately miss Scotty's race, but I'm sure it's going to be an absolutely amazing event. And I feel very bad that I can't support his race because I think it'll probably be one of the best of the year, if not the best of the year. So that kind of sucks. I wish I could make it.
It will be epic, and it will be one to hit next year as well, as along with King of the Smokies was awesome, and you're going to want to hit that next year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many good races happening now. I need to get more organized with a schedule on when these races are, so that I can plan a little bit better. But I do think I need a certain amount of time to improve. Everybody is improving so fast that if I don't step back from racing a little bit and try and get faster, I'm going to get blown right by with all these people that are going really fast. So I need a little time to test.
All right. I agree.
Fair enough.
All right. That's it. Thank you, Mark Vyne. We love you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Dude,
thank you guys so much
for coming on.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for everything.
We'll be
Thanks
right.
for teaching us everything.
Yes, more teaching. Right. Dude, this show is turning into you better bring a pad of paper and a pen. That's all I know. All right.
No, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you guys very much. I look forward to racing with all you guys soon.
Right on. Thank you, everybody. Mark Vyne, everybody. Brought back after these words.
Will you lay me down?
We are back. That was pretty good. Mark Vyne.
Wow.
Knew it would be.
I think I wore out a few pencils on that one.
Yeah, we'll have to have him back, of course. I mean, that's a guy that we can just sit and start chalking, RC, and we didn't hit many questions. We just talked RC for 2 hours.
He's so free with the information.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe he's 3 steps ahead of what he's releasing right now.
Right.
And we're that far behind. I don't know, but it seemed like some pretty good information.
It feels like he's doing all the right things, though. Him saying that, that, look, it's time to step back, not go to these races, get myself fast again. It's true. You've got to put that kind of work in. These cars are this whole sport has gotten to a point where, in order to be on top, you have to. It's like the guy comes on top who went away for a little while. He comes out on top. He's on top. He rides that wave until other people who've been away come back and figure it out. And that's. Wow, what a perfect sport this is. It's just awesome.
It's so similar to, the full scale no prep or full scale anything or any other sport where people sometimes need to take a step back and they're reassessing.
Where else can you have, like he was saying, this many different combinations of power and items, and we're all still in the same place. The rubber tire, kids. Remember, the rubber tire is a great equalizer. I said it on day one, and it's still true. Even though the tires are better, they're still equalizing. So.
Yeah. Even with the crazy sauce and all that stuff, there's still parity, and
we're all still close.
You still gotta tune it every single run. Yeah. So
I never knew I would learn so much about shaft angles and. It's just crazy where the hub's placed as opposed to where the outputs are, and just crazy. So, all right, dude, another one of our 1 hour shows that turned into 2.5 or so. All right, fuck.
I think it's more than that, but yeah,
whatever.
that one was totally worth it.
Totally worth it. So we will get Jeff back on when probably in a couple weeks, maybe. I don't know. We have so much, dude. I can't wait till we do our next show where it's just questions again, because we have so much built up.
It's so possible to go back and look at the questions from the previous episode that we missed, because we get so many for the current episode.
I know. They're on the notes though, for the last one, but I know we could do.
There's
another
no notes
show
on this one.
No, I didn't do them on this one, but they're on the last show. I know I didn't do any.
Okay. I was on it.
God. I mean, we could do another show this week and still have plenty for Tuesday. It's crazy.
Well, right. I'm off to Wisconsin.
Yeah, you go off and go race. I'm going to go test because we got to figure out. And I skipped last weekend. So I got to test. All right. That's it, dude. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it. It's Taco Tuesday.
Thank you, Colin Branch. Thank you to MaxAmps, Maclan, MKS, CowRC, Graupner. I don't know who else is in there. RC Speed Secrets. 5-star Breakout chassis, which we all run now. God, I run it.
Don't forget 5-star.
I run it. You run it. Kyle runs it. Riley runs it. We all run it. Todd runs it. The Breakout. It is... If you want to break out of not having good runs, get this car, because it'll give you those. Break out of that habit. I never had somebody.
It's even made me go rounds.
Dude, it's even made me go. Well, I haven't gone round yet, but I'm gone to a race. I need to go to a race.
I went rounds.
I really thought last weekend's cash race, I really expected to go and do well. I was really excited, looking forward to it, because my car is just, it's felt so strong now. And, I feel like I can get my process down, but it was not to be, so we will wait for another one. We'll find the next race. So I might have to go out to Rancho, to the land of where they don't like me, just to race them. I want to race.
Walk in there like a boss.
I want to race so bad. So, all right, everybody. Thank you very much. We love you so much. Thank you, Colin. See ya.
Thank you. Peace out.
You're trying a new one every time, every show, huh? Now we're at peace out.
It's always different.
Is it? Oh, okay. All right. So
it's never the same.
All right, so if I say goodbye again, you got another one for me? Because we're still recording. No? All right, everybody, we'll see you later. Bye.
Au revoir.
inside me, lead me on my way. Oh Lord, live inside me, lead me on my way. Lead me home, lead me home. Oh Lord, in the darkness, lead me on my way. Oh Lord, in the darkness, lead me on my way. Lead me home, lead me home. Waiting, open up your door. Oh Lord, heaven's waiting, open up your door. Lead me home.